Hello to all my dear followers. Welcome to the first season of What If a New Player Appeared in the Naruto World? This fanfic has the potential for many more seasons, so if you want more, subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. Now then, enjoy!
Chapter 1, Whispers of a New Destiny. The apartment was a shrine to solitude, a cave sealed away from the world. The air was thick and stale, heavy with the scent of old instant noodles, dust, and neglect. The only light cutting through the gloom came from a computer monitor, its flickering blue glow painting eerie shadows across a landscape of discarded wrappers and empty drink bottles. On the screen, a battle of gods raged. A shinobi in vibrant orange clashed against a celestial being amidst the ruins of a decimated world. "You have got to be kidding me." The shout shattered the silence, loud and raw in the confined space. "I waited a week for a 10-minute episode, and now this? An ad for workout supplements? Give me a break." The young man slumped back in his worn chair, dragging a hand through his unruly black hair. His name was Ren, a name that felt unfamiliar even to him now. His frame was lean, almost gaunt, and his skin had the pale, wan tone of someone who hadn't felt real sunlight in years. The monitor's glow was the only thing that seemed to bring light to his tired, hollow eyes. There had been another life once, a family, friends, a future that stretched out brightly before him. It had all been erased on a single rain-slicked night by a driver who walked away with a fine and a court date, while Ren was left with a void and a substantial, blood money bank account. The world outside had become a cacophony of pain. But here, in the digital glow of anime and games, he could numb the silence. He could forget. "Just look at that power," Ren murmured, his frustration melting back into captivated awe as the ad ended and the battle resumed. Naruto, burning everything he has for that strength, to be able to protect what's important, no matter the cost, to never be powerless again. He leaned forward, completely absorbed, his world narrowing to the epic fight on the screen. He didn't notice the air in the room growing deathly still, nor see the darkness in the corner of the room seem to deepen and swirl. A voice, smooth as oil and cold as the void, slithered directly into his mind. Asterisk, do you crave it, that absolute power? To stand above all others, to crush any threat, to ensure you are never a victim again, asterisk. Who wouldn't? Ren mumbled, not yet realizing the words weren't from his speakers. His eyes were glued to the screen. "It's all I've ever wanted, then it shall be yours." The voice held a terrifying finality. Ren's head jerked up. "Who said that?" he demanded, spinning his chair around. The room was empty. A primal fear, cold and sharp, lanced down his spine. "Hello? Is someone there? Show yourself." His demands were met with a profound silence. Then, an absolute darkness consumed him, not like closing his eyes, but like being unmade from the inside out. His last conscious thought was of the Uchiha crest, spinning endlessly on his monitor. He never heard the news report days later about a young man found deceased in his apartment, a tragic case attributed to poor health and isolation. The world moved on, unaware one soul had been taken and another journey was about to begin. Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves, thrived with vibrant energy, a stark contrast to the dark tomb Ren had left behind. Within the compound of its most formidable clan, the Uchiha, a different kind of tension hummed in the air, one of eager anticipation and nervous joy. The home of clan head Fugaku Uchiha was a hive of quiet activity. Today, the matriarch, Mikoto Uchiha, was bringing new life into the world. Fugaku Uchiha stood with his trademark imposing stillness, his arms crossed within the wide sleeves of his formal robes. His face was a masterclass in stoic control, the perfect image of an unflappable leader. Yet, the faint, rhythmic tap of his finger against his arm betrayed the anxiety thrumming beneath the surface. "The midwife is the most skilled in the clan," Fugaku-sama, an elder offered, seeking to reassure him. "Mikoto-sama is in excellent hands. All will be well." "I do not doubt it," Fugaku replied, his voice a low, controlled baritone. The tight line of his mouth, however, suggested otherwise. A small, calm presence materialized at his side. "Father." Fugaku's stern expression softened a fraction. He looked down at his firstborn son, Uchiha Itachi. Though only 5 years old, Itachi's dark eyes held a perceptive weight that belied his youth. He was the clan's genius, a beacon of their future. You have returned early, Itachi. My lessons concluded. How is mother? Itachi's voice was quiet, but a thread of genuine concern ran through it. She is persevering. Soon, Fugaku said, placing a firm hand on his son's shoulder, you will have a new duty. You will be an older brother. Itachi's perfectly composed expression finally wavered, replaced by a flicker of pure, unadulterated wonder. A brother? Before Fugaku could respond, a sharp, healthy cry pierced the air from behind the closed shoji doors. The tension shattered, replaced by a wave of relieved smiles and hushed congratulations from the assembled clansmen. The door slid open, revealing a midwife holding a small, swaddled bundle. Fugaku-sama, Itachi-kun. Congratulations. Mikoto-sama is weary but well. Fugaku's composure finally broke, a genuine, proud smile gracing his features for a fleeting second. And the child? The midwife's smile widened. Children, Fugaku-sama. Twins. 2 strong, healthy boys. A murmur of delighted surprise swept through the crowd. Twins were a rare and auspicious blessing. Fugaku's eyebrows rose in shock before settling into an expression of deep, profound satisfaction. Twins. May I see them? May I see mother? Itachi asked, his usual reserve vanishing, replaced by an eager urgency. With a nod from the midwife, Fugaku and Itachi stepped into the room. It was warm and smelled of clean linen and faint antiseptic. Mikoto lay on a futon, her face pale and glistening with sweat but illuminated by a radiant, exhausted smile. In the crook of each of her arms lay a tiny, wrapped bundle. Fugaku. She whispered, her voice weak but overflowing with joy. Look at your sons. Itachi approached on silent feet, his dark eyes wide with awe as he gazed upon his new brothers. They were identical, both with a fine down of jet black hair. But their demeanors were already starkly different. One was fussing softly, his small face scrunched. The other, however, was awake and preternaturally calm. His dark eyes, still unfocused, seemed to stare upward with a strange, unsettling awareness. Mikoto gently stroked the head of the quieter infant. This one barely cried, she said, her voice full of adoration. He's so serene. Fugaku looked down at his expanded family, his chest swelling with a pride that was both deeply personal and strategically clan-oriented. 2 new heirs to the Uchiha legacy. 2 new sons to shape the future. He could not know that within the skull of the quiet infant, a disoriented consciousness was reeling, struggling to process a flood of new sensory data and a single, terrifying, exhilarating thought that did not belong. What is this? This isn't my room. These people. Uchiha. Itachi, system initialization complete. Welcome, host. The path to power awaits. The calm baby, who would soon be named and known as Sasuke's twin brother, let out a tiny, confused whimper. His new life had begun. Chapter 2, The Awakening. Consciousness returned not with a flash, but as a slow, disorienting drift through a thick fog. The first thing he was aware of was a profound, bone-deep exhaustion. It was a struggle to even form a coherent thought, let alone move. What's wrong with me? Why can't I open my eyes? The mind that had once been Ren struggled against the oppressive weight of his new reality. His thoughts felt syrupy and slow. Then, he heard them, voices. They were muffled, as if heard from underwater, and the language was a melodic, completely foreign stream of sounds. He couldn't understand a single word. Where am I? This isn't my room. Wasn't I just the ghost? The voice, A cold dread seized him. Am I dead? Is this the underworld? The panic gave him a surge of adrenaline, and with a Herculean effort, he forced his eyelids to flutter open. The world was a blur of light and color. As his vision slowly focused, a new wave of terror washed over him. A large, pale hand was reaching down toward him. What is that? Get away, Asterisk he tried to scream, to swat the hand away, but all that escaped his lips was a weak, pathetic sound. Wah! The hand didn't attack. It was gentle, its touch soft as it stroked his head. The gesture was calming, but Ren's terror only grew. That's not my voice. He managed to lift his own arm, and his world tilted on its axis. The limb that waved clumsily in the air was tiny, pudgy, and utterly useless. It was the hand of an infant. This is my hand. I'm a baby, asterisk. The reality of his situation crashed down upon him. The ghost, the voice, the darkness, he hadn't died. He had been reborn. Reincarnated. The initial panic was suddenly washed away by a dizzying current of wild, incredulous excitement. I crossed over. I actually did it, asterisk his mind raced. Asterisk okay. Stay calm. Figure it out. Where am I? Who are these people? Please, let it be Naruto. Please let it be that world, asterisk. He turned his head, a clumsy, difficult motion, to follow the source of the gentle hand. He saw a woman. She was beautiful, with kind, dark eyes and long, raven hair that framed a pale, tired face. She was looking down at him with an expression of utter adoration, her lips moving as she spoke that same, incomprehensible language. Is this, my mother? Asterisk the thought was surreal. Asterisk what is she saying? It sounds Japanese. Did I end up in Japan? Asterisk. His infant brain, overwhelmed by the sensory input, began to fog again, but not before he heard new voices enter the room. Mother. The voice was young, high-pitched, but carried a surprising seriousness. The woman, his mother, turned her head and smiled, her voice warm as she replied. She gestured toward him and the other bundle lying beside him. Brothers, asterisk the word, or something like it, seemed to be repeated. Asterisk he said, brothers. Plural, asterisk. A boy, perhaps 5 or 6 years old, leaned into his field of vision. His hair was the same jet black as the woman's, and his dark eyes were intense, taking in every detail of the two newborns with a focus that seemed far too old for his young face. A powerful sense of responsibility seemed to radiate from him. I am a big brother. I must protect my little brothers, asterisk the thought wasn't Ren's own, it was a pure, emotional impression he picked up from the boy's unwavering gaze. Then, a new presence filled the room. A man. He was tall and imposing, with stern features and deep-set eyes that softened only when they fell upon the woman on the bed. He wore a high-collared robe with a distinctive fan emblem on the back. The Uchiha crest, asterisk. Ren's breath hitched in his tiny lungs. Asterisk it is. It's really them. This is the Uchiha compound, asterisk the pieces clicked into place with dizzying speed. The woman was Uchiha Mikoto. The serious boy was Itachi. The stern man was Fugaku. And the other baby, the one fussing quietly beside him, was Sasuke. He was Uchiha Ren. The twin brother of Sasuke Uchiha. A character who never existed in the original story. Mikoto, how are you? Fugaku's voice was a low, authoritative rumble, yet it was filled with genuine concern. I am well, Fugaku, Mikoto replied, her voice tired but happy. Look at our sons. Fugaku's gaze shifted from his wife to the two infants. A rare, small smile touched his lips. The little one has strong lungs, he observed, looking at the crying Sasuke. Then his eyes fell on Ren, who was staring back with an unsettlingly aware silence. And this one, he is so quiet. So observant. He is perfect, Mikoto said, gently stroking Ren's head again. We must name them. Fugaku nodded, his brow furrowing in thought. The silence stretched for a moment, filled only by Sasuke's diminishing whimpers. The one with fire in his voice, Fugaku said finally. He will be Sasuke. His eyes settled on Ren. And this one, with the calm of deep water, he will be Ren. Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Ren. Mikoto repeated the names softly, a smile gracing her features. Sasuke and Ren. I love them. Ren asterisk the newborn thought, testing the name. Uchiha Ren, it felt right. A new name for a new life. Itachi looked at his brothers, his expression solemn. Sasuke. Ren. I will protect you, he whispered, the vow etched into his heart. In the days and weeks that followed, the news of the Uchiha patriarch's twin sons spread throughout Konoha. The compound was filled with well-wishers, from clan members to other Konoha dignitaries paying their respects. Ren, trapped in the helpless body of an infant, could do little but observe, listen, and slowly, painstakingly, begin to decipher the language of his new world. He learned of the respect and fear the Uchiha name commanded. He saw the pride in Fugaku's eyes and the gentle strength in Mikoto's. He felt the weight of Itachi's silent, protective promise. But even in this cocoon of familial warmth, Ren's knowledge of the future was a chilling shadow in the back of his mind. He was an Uchiha. He was born into a clan living on borrowed time, destined to be slaughtered by the very brother who now vowed to protect him. Lying in his crib, listening to the sounds of a living, thriving clan, Uchiha Ren made his own silent vow, one far darker than his brother's. I will not be a victim of that night. I will get strong enough to stop it. No matter what, The path ahead was long and fraught with danger, but for the first time since his death in another world, Ren had a purpose. He had a name, a family, and a future to change. Chapter 3, The Powerhouse System. The quiet of the Uchiha training ground was absolute, broken only by Ren's ragged breathing. He lay on his back, staring at the sky, the initial thrill of his rebirth now tempered by the cold, hard reality of the future. The Sharingan is powerful he thought, his mind racing through everything he knew. But will I even awaken it? And even if I do, can I evolve it into a Mangekyo? The conditions for that evolution were seared into his memory, the traumatic death of someone you loved most. It was a horrific price, one he desperately wanted to avoid. And without the Mangekyo, what chance do I have? A cold dread settled in his stomach as he mentally listed the monsters that populated this world. Orochimaru with his forbidden jutsu. Danzo and his root operatives, lurking in the shadows. The Akatsuki, hunting down Jinchuriki. Pain, with the terrifying Rinnegan. And behind them all, Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Madara, The memory of Madara Uchiha's power in the original story, a single man capable of battling an army of shinobi, made a helpless, bitter smile touch Ren's lips. The gap between his current, 6-year-old self and that level of power was an impassable chasm. His heart ached with a desperate, clawing need for strength. It's too early to think about this he chided himself, forcing his exhausted body to sit up. I need to focus on the now. On push-ups and shuriken throws. On building a foundation, he laughed at himself, the sound hollow in the empty clearing. Ding, The sound was crystalline and artificial, utterly alien to the natural sounds of the forest. It seemed to originate from inside his own skull. Due to the host's extreme desire for power, the powerhouse system has been activated. Binding in progress, Ren froze. Every muscle in his body went taut. He sat bolt upright, the lingering pain from his workout completely forgotten. What was that? Who's talking? His eyes darted around the training ground, searching for the source, but he was utterly alone. Ding! Binding successful. Host, Uchiha Ren, Scanning host's current world. Ding! Scan complete. Current world, Naruto, This situation, it couldn't be. His spirit, his very soul, seemed to vibrate with sudden, electrifying comprehension. As a 21st century otaku, he'd consumed countless stories of transmigration. The protagonist's golden finger, the cheat, the system, was a staple of the genre. Is this it? He thought, his excitement a live wire in his chest. Is this the benefit for a transmigrator? Has my golden finger finally arrived? Ding! As the host's current strength is assessed as insufficient, the system is providing one complimentary lottery draw. Does the host accept? A lottery? Ren's mind screamed. Accept. Of course I accept. Start the lottery, he whispered, his voice trembling with anticipation. A phantom wheel, visible only to him, materialized in his vision. It spun in a blur of dazzling light, segments flashing with glimpses of incredible items and abilities before slowly grinding to a halt. Ding! Congratulations to the host for drawing, Rokushiki technique, finger gun, asterisk. A wave of warmth, like molten energy, flooded through his body. Knowledge, muscle memory, and chakra control patterns he'd never learned seared themselves into his mind. It was the complete understanding of the finger gun technique, as if he had trained in it for a decade. Finger gun asterisk, one of the Rokushiki of the Navy. A technique that mimics the power of a firearm. By focusing chakra and physical strength into a single fingertip, the user can unleash a thrust with bullet-like penetrative power, capable of piercing human flesh and even steel. The technique felt instinctive, a part of him. He flexed his index finger, feeling a strange new potential coiled within it. System, Ren said, his voice steadier now. Explain all your functions. Answering host, the powerhouse system is designed to facilitate the host's ascent to ultimate strength. Primary functions include an exchange interface and a mission protocol, asterisk. The exchange interface allows the host to acquire any combat skill, bloodline, or item, provided the host possesses sufficient system points, asterisk. Points are acquired by completing system-issued missions, discovering rare techniques or treasures, or eliminating powerful enemies. Additionally, the system provides a daily survival stipend of 3 points. Surviving for 1 full year grants 1 complimentary lottery draw. This stipend is active for the first 3 years only, asterisk. A daily stipend? Not bad. How many points do I have now? Ren asked. Host's current point value, 3, would you like to open the exchange interface, asterisk. Only 3, he couldn't help but complain, a flicker of disappointment surfacing. Couldn't you be a little more generous? Cannot, asterisk, the system replied, its tone utterly flat and final. TCH, stingy. Fine, open the exchange interface. A holographic display, intricate and glowing, superimposed itself over his vision. It was a vast, scrolling list of every power he had ever dreamed of. Rinnegan asterisk item level, SSS. Exchange cost, 1 million points. Senju Hashirama's cell graft, would release compatible, item level, SSS. Exchange cost, 1 million points. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan item level, SS, exchange cost, 500,000 points. Ren's eyes widened, his breath catching in his throat. He scrolled further, seeing legendary weapons, ultimate jutsu, and Kekiai Genkai of unimaginable power. He was drooling, his mind reeling with possibilities. Then he looked back at his point total, 3. The sheer, astronomical gap between his current means and his desires was laughable. A profound sense of despair threatened to wash over him. Asterisk 3 points a day. I'd have to save for centuries, asterisk. Ding. The system has issued a mission, enroll in the Konoha Ninja Academy within 10 days, asterisk. Mission reward, 300 points. Time limit, 10 days. Failure penalty, none. Does the host accept? A mission. 300 points. It was a fortune. Enter the Ninja Academy. I'm the right age. Accept, he said without hesitation. The interface vanished. The reality of his aching muscles returned. Right. First, I need to tell my parents, he muttered to himself, getting to his feet. And then food. I'm starving. He began the slow, tired walk back towards the main compound, his mind buzzing with systems, points, and the technique now etched into his very being. I'm back, Ren announced as he slid open the door to his home. The main room was warm and lit by soft evening light. 3 people were there. His father, Uchiha Fugaku, sat in his usual chair, eyes closed in contemplation. His brother, Uchiha Itachi, now a seasoned genin at 10 years old, was on the floor. And with him was Ren's mirror image, his twin, Sasuke, who was currently trying to wrestle a practice shunai from Itachi's grip. At Ren's voice, they all looked up. Father. Brother, Ren greeted Fugaku and Itachi with a respectful nod. Ren, Itachi said, his voice calm and kind. Where did you go today? Just training within the compound grounds, Ren replied evenly. Sasuke made a sound of disgust. Humph. Brother, don't mind him. Let's keep playing. He never wants to play with me. It's so boring when you're not here. He shot a glare at Ren, his expression a mix of annoyance and childish hurt. Itachi was often away on missions, and when he was home, Ren consistently rejected any attempts to play, leaving Sasuke feeling perpetually abandoned. Ren ignored Sasuke's complaint, walking past them to sit silently at the low dining table. Ren is back. Dinner is almost ready, Mikoto's gentle voice called from the kitchen. Soon, she emerged carrying plates of steaming food, filling the room with delicious aromas. The family gathered around the table. Brother, I want some of that. Sasuke insisted, pointing to a dish beside Itachi. Ren, who looked identical to his boisterous twin, sat in stark contrast, quiet, composed, his thoughts hidden behind a placid mask. It was a silence that worried his parents. Most 5-year-olds were open books of emotion, but Ren was an enigma, showing neither the arrogance of the Uchiha nor the simple joys of a child. Here, Ren, this is for you, Mikoto said, placing a choice piece of grilled fish in his bowl, her eyes soft with concern. Thank you, mother, Ren said simply, a flicker of complex emotion, gratitude, guilt, sadness, passing through his eyes before he shuddered it away. Brother, I want one too. Sasuke whined, jealous of the attention. You have to play hide-and-seek with me after dinner. Ren never plays, I'm bored. Ren, Itachi said, turning to his other brother. Would you like to join us? No, Ren declined, standing up. I'm full. I'll be in my room. He left the table without another word, retreating down the hallway. Humph. That boring guy. Forget him, brother, let's go. Sasuke jumped onto Itachi's back, already moving on. After the younger boys had left, Mikoto turned to her husband, her worry evident. Fugaku, do you think Ren is too withdrawn? Uchiha Fugaku sighed, a rare show of uncertainty on his stern face. I cannot read that child. For a boy of 6, he is closed off. He doesn't seek approval or complain. He shows no interest in anything. It is concerning. Back in his room, Ren lay on his futon, staring at the ceiling. He let out a long, weary sigh that seemed too old for his small body. TCH, he muttered to the empty room. I keep telling myself not to get attached to this family. Because, he knew the script. In a few short years, the Uchiha clan's discontent would boil over into a planned coup. And to stop it, to protect the village and his brother Sasuke, Itachi would be forced to make an unimaginable choice. He would eradicate their entire clan. The memory of that future was a cold stone in his gut. He maintained this distance, this indifference, as a shield. He was terrified that if he let his walls down, if he truly embraced them as his family, the pain of losing them would destroy him all over again. He had already lost one family. He didn't know if he could survive losing another. I forgot to tell them about the academy, he suddenly remembered, sitting up and smacking his own forehead. The system mission was his priority now. Whatever. I'll tell them tomorrow. The thought of the 300 points was a tiny, bright spark in the darkness of his future. It was a start. With a groan, he pushed himself up. A bath, then sleep. I'm exhausted. He walked toward the bathroom, the weight of his knowledge and his new system a heavy burden on his small shoulders. The path to power was open, but it was longer and darker than he had ever imagined. Chapter 4, First Steps into the Future. The next morning, Ren woke to find Itachi's futon already empty. His brother was likely on another mission. Sasuke was still a motionless lump under his covers, lost in the deep sleep of childhood. After a quiet breakfast, Ren steeled himself. He approached his father, who was sipping his tea and reading a mission report. Father, Ren began, his voice calm but firm. I wish to enroll in the ninja academy. The soft clatter of dishes from the kitchen ceased. Uchiha Mikoto stopped her cleaning, turning to look at her son with surprise. Uchiha Fugaku slowly lowered his scroll, his dark, assessing eyes fixing on Ren. The academy? Fugaku's tone was neutral, giving nothing away. Explain your reasoning. Staying at home is unproductive, Ren replied, meeting his father's gaze without flinching. I am of the correct age. It is time I began my formal training. Fugaku studied his son for a long, silent moment. The request was logical, yet it was the first time this particular son had ever asked for anything. I see, he said finally. The new term begins in 2 days. I will take you and Sasuke to be enrolled. Thank you, father. Ren gave a short, formal bow to both his parents before turning to leave. Fugaku. Mikoto started, her voice laced with maternal concern, but her husband raised a hand. There is no need, Fugaku said, his gaze still on the doorway Ren had exited through. They are both 6 years old. It is the appropriate time. And, this is the first thing he has ever asked of us. A rare note of something akin to pride entered his stern voice. Let him have it. Outside, Ren allowed a slight, grim smile to touch his lips. The first step was complete. The academy in 2 days asterisk he thought, a thrill of anticipation cutting through his usual reserve. Asterisk I'll meet them all. The entire Konoha 12, in the flesh, asterisk. Names and faces from his past life flashed through his mind, Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, Nara Shikamaru, Akimichi Choji, Yamanaka Ino, Inazuka Kiba, Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata. The main cast of the story he'd once watched on a screen. The reality of it was still staggering, but first, training asterisk he resolved, pushing the excitement down. I still need to test the finger gun. He made his way to his secret training spot, a secluded forest at the edge of the Uchiha compound that he'd claimed as his own a year prior. The air was cool and carried the scent of pine and damp earth. Here, he was truly alone. Taking a stance before a thick, old tree, he focused. The knowledge was just there, ingrained in his muscle memory by the system. He concentrated his strength, his chakra, into the index finger of his right hand. It felt like channeling a needle-thin bolt of lightning. Finger gun, he whispered, and thrust. Thwip, asterisk. The sound was sharp and clean. His finger sank into the tree trunk up to the second knuckle with shocking ease, as if piercing soft clay instead of solid wood. He pulled his finger back, leaving a perfectly round, deep hole behind. A genuine, wide grin spread across Ren's face for the first time since his arrival in this world. Incredible, he breathed, examining his unmarked finger. If it can do this to a tree, what could it do to a person? The power was visceral, real. It was the first tangible proof that the system could truly make him strong. He spent the rest of the day drilling the technique until his chakra reserves were depleted and his body ached, then dragged his exhausted frame home for dinner. 2 days later, they stood at the door, ready to leave. Are you prepared? Uchiha Fugaku asked, his voice echoing in the quiet entrance hall. It is time to go. Now, Ren, Sasuke, Mikoto said, kneeling before them to straighten their collars and brush non-existent dust from their shirts. Her touch was gentle, her eyes worried but proud. You are going to the ninja academy today. You must be respectful to your teachers and try to be kind to your classmates. Understood, mother, Ren replied with his usual flat tone. TCH. I'm going to be a genius like Big Brother Itachi, Sasuke declared, puffing out his chest. I don't need to waste time on a bunch of weaklings. The ingrained Uchiha superiority complex was already strong in him, a product of the clan's insular culture. Idiot asterisk Ren thought, the criticism sharp and immediate. You have no idea what true weakness or strength even means yet. His memories of the Sasuke from the anime, arrogant, entitled, and constantly chasing a power that was often handed to him, rose to the surface. First by Orochimaru, then by Itachi's ultimate sacrifice gifting him the eternal Mangekyo, and finally the revelation of being Indra's transmigrant. Some people are just born on third base, he mused with a trace of bitterness. Let's go, Fugaku commanded, and turned to lead the way. Ren and Sasuke fell into step behind him, two identical boys with vastly different interior worlds. After a walk through the bustling streets of Konoha, they arrived. The academy was exactly as Ren remembered it from the anime, a large, multi-story building with a familiar facade, the heart of Konoha's future military strength. This is it, Fugaku stated. Konoha's Ninja Academy. This is where you will learn the shinobi arts. Ren looked up at it, a strange sense of destiny settling over him. This was the starting line. Fugaku led them inside, through quiet hallways, to a staff room. Several teachers were inside, taking a break between classes. Among them, Ren immediately spotted the first villain of the original story, Mizuki. Lord Fugaku, the teachers said, almost in unison, standing a little straighter upon his entry. Lord Fugaku, Mizuki said, oozing false warmth as he approached. To what do we owe the honor? These are my sons, Fugaku said, his voice devoid of warmth. Enroll them. They are starting today, of course. Right away. Mizuki's smile widened, his eyes flicking over the twins. The sons of the great clan head. I'm sure they will be exceptional prodigies, just like their elder brother. His tone was sickly sweet. Come with me, boys. I'll take you to your classroom. Ren felt a cold dislike settle in his stomach. He knew the kind, helpful persona was a facade hiding a treacherous and jealous man. Go with him, Fugaku instructed. With a final bow, Ren and Sasuke followed Mizuki out. You're a little late, you know, Mizuki chirped as they walked. The other students have already begun their lessons. Okay, Ren replied, utterly disinterested. Sasuke didn't even grant him that much, walking in haughty silence. Mizuki's smile tightened almost imperceptibly. Right. Well, here we are. He stopped before a classroom door. Wait here a moment. I'll fetch your homeroom teacher. Mizuki slipped inside the classroom. Ren could hear a lecture happening within. A moment later, a young man with a scar across his nose and a kind face stepped out. Mr. Irika, Mizuki said. These two are new transfers. Uchiha Ren and Uchiha Sasuke. Irika Yumano's face broke into a warm, genuine smile that was the polar opposite of Mizuki's. New students. Welcome. I'm Irika Yumano, and I'll be your teacher. He looked between them, his expression open and friendly. It's a pleasure to meet you, Irika-sensei, Ren said, offering a polite bow. He felt a genuine respect for this man. In his previous life, he'd admired Irika, a man of ordinary strength but extraordinary heart, whose belief in Naruto had fundamentally shaped the boy's future for the better. Just then, a burst of raucous laughter erupted from the classroom. Irika's smile instantly flipped into a scowl of exasperation. Sorry about that, Irika said, sighing. Those little. I have to get back in there. Mizuki-sensei, thank you. He then turned to the twins. Alright, you two, come with me. Let's get you introduced. Irika marched back into the classroom, and Ren followed, stepping across the threshold into a new chapter of his life. His eyes immediately found the source of the commotion, a shock of bright yellow hair at the blackboard where a boy was frantically drawing a cartoonish monkey wearing a Hokage's hat. Naruto! You idiot! Get back to your seat this instant! Irika yelled. The boy, Naruto Uzumaki, jumped, dropping the chalk. TCH. So boring, he muttered, slinking back to his seat under the giggles of the class. Irika took a deep, calming breath, running a hand over his face. Everyone, settle down. We have a slight interruption. He turned to the doorway. We have two new students joining us today. Please, come in. Every eye in the classroom turned, curious and assessing, to land on the two identical Uchiha boys standing in the doorway. Chapter 5, The First Day. Alright, you two, come in, Irika called from the doorway. Ren and Sasuke stepped into the classroom, the eyes of every student tracking their movement as they walked to the front and stood beside Irika's podium. Irika-sensei, Ren said, offering another polite bow. Sasuke, standing beside him, merely lifted his chin, his hands shoved into his pockets, radiating an aura of cool indifference. A wave of whispers immediately swept through the room. Wow! They're so handsome. Are they twins? They look exactly the same. Uchiha, that's the Uchiha clan. Several girls, including a pink-haired one and a blonde one, were already staring with hearts in their eyes. Quiet, everyone. Irika commanded, though he looked more amused than angry. Why don't you two introduce yourselves to the class? Ren nodded. My name is Uchiha Ren. It is a pleasure to meet you all. I look forward to learning with you. His voice was calm and measured. Sasuke Uchiha, the other twin stated flatly, not offering anything more. The mention of the Uchiha name sent another, louder ripple of excitement through the classroom. To these children, most from civilian families, the Uchiha were legendary, a powerful, prestigious clan known for producing genius shinobi. Having not one, but two of them in their class was a major event. Listening to the awed murmurs, Sasuke's posture straightened, his head tilting up with a hint of pride. Ren, however, felt a familiar cynicism rise within him. All of them are geniuses, he thought. What a naive fantasy. Without the Mangekyo, most of the clan are just arrogant fools with a fancy parlor trick. His knowledge of their grim future made their current reputation feel hollow. Hey! Look at the big shot clan kids, showing up late on the first day, a voice called out, dripping with mockery. Ren's eyes flicked to the source. A boy with spiky, dark hair and distinctive red fawn-like markings on his cheeks was smirking at them. Inazuka Kiba, beside him, a familiar mop of bright yellow hair piped up. Yeah. So arrogant. Naruto Uzumaki added, never one to miss a chance to stir trouble. Naruto. Kiba. You two shut up, the pink-haired girl, Sakura, snapped, her previous admiration instantly replaced by protective fury. Yeah. Leave them alone, the blonde girl, Ino, echoed, leading a chorus of agreement from the other girls in the class. TCH, women are so troublesome, a lazy voice drawled from behind Ino. A boy with a pineapple-like ponytail sighed, resting his head on his hand. Nara Shikamaru. Ino, just ignore them, said a large boy sitting next to Shikamaru, munching quietly on a bag of potato chips. Akimichi Choji. Being late for class is against the rules, a quiet, serious boy with dark sunglasses intoned from behind Kiba. Aburame Shino. Ren's gaze continued to sweep the room, cataloging them. His eyes landed on a girl with strange, pale eyes, her index fingers pressed together shyly as she stole glances at Naruto, a faint blush on her cheeks. Hyuga Hinata. There they are. Ren thought, a strange sense of surrealism washing over him. The Konoha 12. All in one room. The arrogant Kiba, the boisterous Naruto, the fangirls Sakura and Ino, the lazy Shikamaru, the gentle Choji, the analytical Shino, and the shy Hinata. Plus the brooding Sasuke beside him. It was like looking at a living, breathing poster from his old life. Enough. Everyone, settle down. Irika's voice cut through the chatter, finally restoring order. He pointed to an empty seat. Sasuke, you can take the seat next to Haruno. Yay! Okay. Sakura practically vibrated with joy, shooting a triumphant look at Ino. Hey! Why does this kind of guy get to sit next to Sakura-chan? Naruto complained, only to be silenced by a vicious punch from Sakura that made Ren wince in sympathy. Really, why do I have to sit next to these two weirdos? Ino grumbled, looking between the napping Shikamaru and the snacking Choji. Troublesome, Shikamaru mumbled without opening his eyes. Ren, Irika said, turning his attention and pointing to a seat in the back row next to a girl with long, chestnut brown hair. You can sit there, next to Akane. Yes, sensei. Ren gave a short nod and made his way to his assigned desk. The girl, Akane, turned to him with a shy but friendly smile as he sat down. Hello. My name is Tanaka Akane. It's nice to meet you, Uchiha Ren. The pleasure is mine, Ren replied politely, taking her in. She had kind eyes and a gentle demeanor, a stark contrast to the chaos surrounding the other Uchiha twin, a character not in the original story. He noted. Interesting. Hey, you. New guy, a voice hissed from the desk to Akane's other side. Ren turned to see a stocky boy with a ridiculous bowl-cut hairstyle glaring at him. Don't talk to Akane. She's gonna be my future wife. I don't care if you're an Uchiha, if you bother her, I'll pound you. Kenji, you idiot. Stop saying such stupid things. Akane snapped, her face flushing with anger and embarrassment. Kenji, Ren looked the boy over. He was bigger than the other kids, with a brutish look in his eyes that spoke of a bully who relied on his size. Idiot, Ren said, his voice flat and dismissive. He turned his attention back to his desk. You bastard. Meet me after school if you've got guts. Kenji snarled, his fists clenching. I'll show you 100 ways I can hurt you. TCH, whatever, Ren said, not even bothering to look at him. Ren, I'm so sorry, Akane whispered, her voice full of frustration. His family lives next to mine. He's always been like this, scaring away anyone who tries to talk to me. He's such a jerk. It's fine. I'm not worried about him, Ren said, offering her a small, reassuring smile. Her relief was palpable. On her other side, Kenji fumed, seeing them whisper to each other. Just you wait, he muttered under his breath, shooting daggers at Ren's back. Kenji. We are in class. No more talking. Irika's stern voice cut from the front, and the boy reluctantly fell silent, though his glare never wavered. Ren put the bully entirely out of his mind. A more important notification had just appeared in his vision. Ding! Host has completed the mission. Enroll in the Ninja Academy. Reward, 300 points. Host's current points, 315 asterisk. A genuine surge of excitement went through him. Finally, some capital. System asterisk he thought, what is the most efficient use of my points right now? Analysis complete. Recommendation, exchange for basic chakra refinement technique. Cost, 150 points asterisk. Chakra refinement. But won't they teach us that here eventually? Asterisk. Affirmative. However, the academy method requires weeks of study and practice to produce a usable amount of chakra. System exchange provides instant mastery and immediate access to your full chakra potential. Asterisk. The logic was undeniable. Time was a luxury he didn't have. He couldn't afford to wait weeks to begin truly training. He needed every advantage, and he needed it now. Do it. Exchange for the basic chakra refinement technique. Asterisk. Confirming exchange, basic chakra refinement technique. Item level, D, cost, 150 points. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. Exchange successful. Points deducted, 150. Remaining points, 165. Asterisk. A wave of warmth, different from the sharp infusion of the finger gun, flowed through him. It was a deep, foundational understanding, a feeling of a hidden wellspring of energy suddenly becoming aware and accessible within his core. Knowledge of how to draw upon it, how to cycle it, how to use it, was now as natural to him as breathing. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, focusing inward. There it was. A small, but palpable, reservoir of energy swirling in his gut. Chakra. He opened his eyes, a new sense of power and possibility humming within him. The first day of school was far from over, but he had already taken his first real step onto the path of a shinobi. The grind was just beginning. Chapter 6, The First Test. 165 points left. Asterisk Ren calculated internally, his eyes scanning the classroom without really seeing it. What's the most efficient use? Analysis complete. The system's voice chimed in his mind. Recommendation, activate the Sharingan. The Sharingan. Ren's interest was immediately piqued. Can I even do that with my current points? Single Tomo Sharingan. Activation cost for Uchiha bloodline holder, 100 points. Asterisk. Asterisk double Tomo Sharingan. Activation cost, 500 points. Asterisk. Asterisk triple Tomo Sharingan. Activation cost, 2000 points. Asterisk. The system displayed the options, the prices a stark reminder of the long road ahead. But 100 points was within reach. The benefits were undeniable. Even a single tomo would grant him enhanced perception, the ability to track fast movements, and a photographic memory for any technique he witnessed. It was the ultimate foundation for learning. The sooner I have it, the sooner I can start truly growing. Asterisk he reasoned. Sasuke hadn't awakened his until he was 12. That was 6 years from now. 6 years he could spend mastering its basic functions. System, activate the single Tomo Sharingan, asterisk. Activate single Tomo Sharingan. Cost, 100 points. Confirm, asterisk. Confirm, asterisk. Ding. Exchange successful. Points deducted, 100. Remaining points, 65, asterisk. A sudden, intense heat blossomed behind his eyes, not painful, but overwhelming. It felt like a dam had burst, flooding his optic nerves with raw, unfamiliar power. He quickly shut his eyes, bowing his head as if bored by Irika's lecture on the Wheel of Fire. The sensation lasted for a full minute, a minute where the world was nothing but crimson heat behind his eyelids. When it finally subsided, he cautiously opened his eyes. The world had changed. It was sharper. Hyper-defined. He could see the individual grains of wood on the desk in front of him, the faint dust motes dancing in a sunbeam, the almost imperceptible shift in Irika's posture as he gestured. His vision tunneled for a second, his focus instinctively locking onto a fly buzzing near the window. He could track every jittering, erratic movement with impossible clarity. And in the periphery of his vision, he could just make out a faint, blood-red tint. This is it asterisk, he thought, a thrill running through him. The Sharingan. He quickly closed his eyes again, focusing on the feeling of the chakra receding from his pupils. When he opened them a moment later, his vision was back to normal. He couldn't risk anyone noticing. Not yet. Satisfied but exhausted from the sudden chakra expenditure, he let his head droop back onto his arms. The drone of Irika's voice became a distant hum, and he slipped back into a light doze, the potential of his new power humming beneath his skin. He didn't know how long he slept, but he was stirred awake by a gentle shaking. Renkuin. Renkuin, wake up. He blinked his eyes open. Akane was leaning over him, her long chestnut hair brushing his desk. The classroom was nearly empty, the afternoon sun casting long shadows through the windows. Akane-san, he mumbled, pushing himself up. What time is it? It's time to go home, she said with a small, patient smile. You slept right through the final bell. You must have been very tired. Ren looked around. Most of the students were gone. Sasuke was already at the door, ignoring the lingering looks from a few girls. Right. Thanks for waking me, Ren said, standing up and stretching. I'll see you tomorrow, Akane-san. Hee, see you tomorrow, Renkuin, she replied, her smile widening. Their friendly exchange was the spark. Uchiha Ren. The roar echoed through the nearly empty classroom. Ren turned slowly to see Kenji, the stocky boy with the bowl cut, stomping toward him, his face a mask of fury. Is there a problem? Ren asked, his voice utterly calm. Problem? You're the problem. Kenji snarled, stopping a few feet away. I told you to stay away from her. I won't let some Uchiha pretty boy think he can just waltz in and take what's mine. The remaining students, Naruto, Kiba, Shikamaru, Choji, immediately perked up, forming a loose circle around them. Oh, a fight. Kiba grinned. This ought to be good. Yeah. Kick his butt, Ren. Naruto yelled, always eager for a spectacle. Kenji, you idiot. Stop it right now. Akane shouted, stepping between them. I am not yours. Leave him alone. Stay out of this, Akane. Kenji barked, not taking his eyes off Ren. Well, Uchiha? Are you just going to hide behind a girl? I heard you Uchiha were all geniuses. Or are you all just cowards? How dare you? Sasuke snapped from the doorway, his pride instantly pricked. He took a step forward, but Ren's arm shot out, barring his path. This doesn't concern you, Ren said, his tone cold and final. TCH. He insulted the Uchiha name, Sasuke shot back, but he hesitated. He's right, you know, Kenji goaded. You can both come at me. I don't care. I can handle two spoiled clan kids. Ren's expression didn't change. He looked at Kenji with flat, bored disdain. Dealing with trash like you doesn't require a team effort. With a wordless roar, Kenji charged. He was bigger, and he used his size, throwing a wild, powerful punch aimed straight at Ren's face. "Ren-kun, look out!" Akane cried. Ren didn't flinch. As the fist flew toward him, time seemed to slow. His right hand came up in a blur of motion. His palm snapped shut around Kenji's incoming fist, stopping it dead an inch from his nose. The impact made a sharp smack. Kenji's eyes widened in shock. He tried to pull his hand back, but Ren's grip was like iron. "Wah! Let go of me," he grunted, his face turning red. "Pathetic," Ren stated. With a brutal yank, he pulled Kenji off balance. As the larger boy lurched forward, Ren drove his knee up hard into his stomach. "Oof!" The air exploded from Kenji's lungs. He doubled over, clutching his abdomen. Before he could recover, Ren's foot swept his legs out from under him, sending him crashing onto the hard floor. The entire exchange had taken less than 3 seconds. The classroom was utterly silent, save for Kenji's ragged, wheezing breaths. Everyone was staring, their mouths agape. Ren looked down at the groaning boy. "Stay down." But Kenji, humiliated and enraged, wasn't done. Gritting his teeth, he pushed himself up and launched himself at Ren's legs in a desperate, clumsy tackle. "I'll kill you." Ren simply pivoted, letting the charging boy stumble past him. As Kenji blundered by, Ren's left hand shot out, clamping around the back of his neck. He used Kenji's own momentum to slam him face down onto the floor, pinning him there. "Still looking for a fight?" Ren's voice was a low, dangerous whisper. He held Kenji down effortlessly. Then, with his free right hand, he formed his index and middle fingers into a rigid point. Chakra, a minuscule amount he'd only just learned to control, focused into the tip of his finger. He didn't look at Kenji. He looked at the wooden floorboards next to the boy's terrified face. "Thwip, asterisk." The sound was sharp and clean. Ren's fingers stabbed downward, piercing through the solid wood floor like it was soft clay. They sank in up to the second knuckle, leaving a perfect, neat hole mere inches from Kenji's eye. The room went deathly still. The only sound was Kenji's sharp, terrified intake of breath. He lay frozen, staring cross-eyed at the fingers embedded in the floor next to his face. Ren leaned down, his voice so quiet only Kenji could hear it. "The next time you bother me, or Akane-san, this won't miss. Do you understand?" Kenji could only manage a weak, terrified whimper, a single tear tracing a path through the dust on his cheek. Ren pulled his fingers from the floor, stood up, and turned away without another word. He walked toward the classroom door, the circle of students parting for him silently. He didn't look at their shocked, awed, or fearful faces. He didn't look at Sasuke's complicated expression. He simply collected his bag and left, the echo of his display of power hanging heavy in the air behind him. The path of a powerhouse had begun with a single, definitive statement. Chapter 7, An Unexpected Meeting. Ren walked away from the academy, the whispers of his classmates fading behind him. Genius of a great clan, they'd said. The thought almost made him snort in derision. Genius, asterisk, he mused, his step steady on the cobblestone path. Asterisk, that's just a label people stick on those who started the race earlier. A head start, nothing more, asterisk, he knew the truth. The difference between a clan child and a civilian wasn't some magical gift, it was resources. It was having elders who drilled you on chakra control before you could read, who corrected your shuriken form before you lost your baby teeth. It was beginning the journey while others were still looking for the path. Of course, a head start meant nothing if you grew complacent. Hard work could always bridge the gap, could even surpass natural talent. There was no such thing as a natural genius, only a hard-working one. He ignored the lingering stares and continued home, his mind already on his next training session. "I'm home," Ren announced as he slid the door open. The main room was quiet, illuminated by the soft, late afternoon light. Only his mother, Uchiha Mikoto, was there, arranging flowers in a vase by the window. "Ren, you're back," she said, her face lighting up with a warm smile. She had an uncanny ability to tell him and Sasuke apart instantly, a mother's intuition he couldn't fathom. Didn't Sasuke come back with you?" "He's on his way. He'll be here soon," Ren replied, his tone softer than usual. It was a small concession he allowed himself in these private moments. He could maintain a cold distance from his father and brother, but facing Mikoto's unconditional, gentle love made the facade painfully difficult. She had been there for every milestone of his 6 years in this world, her affection a constant, warm presence. He wasn't made of stone. He felt a deep, aching fondness for this family, a connection forged in the simple, daily rituals of life. But that connection was a danger. It was a future source of unbearable pain. The Uchiha's fate was a sealed scroll. Even with his foreknowledge, what could he, a 6-year-old with a fledgling system, possibly do? March up to Fugaku and reveal the coup and the ensuing massacre. He'd be branded a lunatic or a traitor, locked away, and the tragic wheels would turn regardless. If the third Hokage and Itachi himself couldn't prevent it, his own efforts were a drop in a tsunami. The clan was doomed. His only option was to build his strength, to ensure his own survival when the night of blood arrived. To protect himself, he had to wall off his heart. He couldn't afford to love them too much, because losing them a second time, after already losing one family in his past life, would shatter him completely. His calculated indifference, mistaken for brooding autism by his family, was his only armor. Just then, the door slid open again. "I'm back," Sasuke said, his voice quieter than usual. "Sasuke. Welcome home," Mikoto said, her smile never wavering. "How was your first day at the academy?" Sasuke's eyes flickered toward Ren for a fraction of a second, a complex, unreadable emotion in them. "It was fine. Didn't learn much." He changed the subject quickly. "Where's brother Itachi? Is he home?" "Not yet, dear. He's on a mission. He probably won't be back until tomorrow." "Another mission?" Sasuke grumbled, a familiar disappointment coloring his tone. Mikoto reached out and ruffled his hair. "He can't help it. He's a shinobi now. You will be, too, one day." She stood, smoothing her apron. "All right, you two go play. I'll start dinner." Once she was in the kitchen, Ren turned to leave. "I'm going out for a bit." "Where are you going?" Sasuke's question was abrupt, unusual. Ren paused, surprised. Sasuke rarely initiated conversation. "Nowhere special. Just going for a walk." "Then I'll come with you," Sasuke stated, getting to his feet. Ren studied him for a moment. What's his angle, he wondered. The day's events had clearly gotten under his brother's skin. "Suit yourself," he finally said with a shrug. They walked in silence through the Uchiha compound and out into the wider streets of Konoha. The village was winding down, the setting sun casting long shadows. The silence between them was thick and awkward. Finally, Sasuke broke it. "Is this all you do when you go out? Just walk? Got a problem with that?" Ren replied, his voice cool. "No, it's just." Sasuke struggled for the words, frustration evident. "How are you so strong? If you're just walking around, how did you get so strong?" Ren almost smiled. So that was it. The display in the classroom had sparked his competitive spirit. "I train," he said simply. "By yourself?" Sasuke's disbelief was palpable. "But I train with brother Itachi, and I'm not that strong." "How can you do it by yourself?" "That's your problem, not mine," Ren said, his tone final. He didn't break his stride. Sasuke stopped walking, clenching his fists at his sides. "Tch. Fine. I won't lose to you," he declared, then turned on his heel and sprinted back in the direction of their home, doubtless heading straight for the training grounds. Ren watched him go, a faint sigh escaping his lips. Good. Let him train. Maybe it'll change something. Maybe it won't. He continued his walk alone, the quiet allowing him to finally take in the village he'd only seen in episodes and chapters. He wandered past shops closing for the day, smelling the aroma of dango and grilled fish from street vendors. He observed the ninja moving with purpose, the civilians heading home. It was all so vibrantly real. "Hey! Ren-kun. Is that you?" A familiar, cheerful voice called out from his left. He turned to see a girl with bright blonde hair tied in a high ponytail, wearing a simple apron over her clothes. She was standing in the doorway of a flower shop, a watering can in her hand. It was Yamanaka Ino. Ren walked over, feigning mild curiosity. "Hello. You're from my class, right, Ino?" "Yamanaka Ino," she said, beaming. "Yeah, Irika-sensei's class. This is my family's shop." She gestured proudly to the lush, colorful displays behind her. "Ah, right. Ino. It's nice to see you," Ren said, offering a small, polite smile that was a stark contrast to his classroom demeanor. "It's a lovely shop. Do you like working with flowers?" "I love it," she chirped, her enthusiasm infectious. "They're all so pretty and they make people happy." Ren's eyes scanned the displays and landed on a single, perfect crimson rose. He pointed to it. "How much for that one?" Ino's eyes widened slightly, and a faint pink blush touched her cheeks. "Oh. That's a rose. They're usually given to, someone you really like. A special someone. But if you want it, I can give you a good price." Ren picked up the rose, its petals soft and velvety. He turned his smile on her, a little more playful. "You'd give me a special price? For a flower for a special someone? Does that mean you're my special someone, Ino-chan?" Ino's face flushed a deep scarlet. She sputtered, completely flustered. "Wah. I didn't mean. That's not." Ren chuckled softly, a genuine sound. "I'm just teasing. How much is it? I'd like to buy it." "T10 Rio," Ino managed to stammer out, looking both disappointed and relieved. Ren fished the coins from his pocket and placed them in her palm. Then, he held the rose out to her. "Here." Ino stared at the flower, then at him, utterly confused. For me. But you just bought it." "I did," he said, his smile gentle. "And now I'm giving it to you. You said you liked them, and they make you happy. So, it's for you. Unless, you don't want it." He made a move to pull it back. "No," she almost shouted, snatching the rose from his hand with a speed that surprised them both. She held it carefully, as if it were made of glass. "I mean, thank you. I love it." "Good," Ren said, his tone warm. "I'm glad. I'll see you in class tomorrow, Ino-chan." "Why yeah. See you tomorrow, Ren-kun," she called after him as he turned and continued his walk. She stood in the doorway of the Yamanaka flower shop, clutching the single red rose to her chest, watching his retreating back until he disappeared around a corner. A wide, dazed smile spread across her face. "He gave me a rose asterisk," she thought, her heart doing a funny little flip. Uchiha Ren gave me a rose. Chapter 8, The Boy in the Alley. Heh, Ino really was cute at this age, asterisk Ren thought, a slight smile on his face as he walked away from the academy gates. The chaotic energy of the first day of school still buzzed in the air around him. Now, where to, asterisk he had the whole afternoon ahead of him. Then it hit him. Asterisk of course. Ichiraku Ramen, asterisk. Ichiraku Ramen was more than just a restaurant in the world of Naruto, it was an institution. A humble, cozy noodle shop that served as the emotional anchor for the series' protagonist. It was where bonds were forged over steaming bowls of broth and noodles, where lessons were learned, and where a lonely boy found a semblance of family. To visit Konoha without eating there would be a cardinal sin for any fan. And besides, asterisk Ren thought, a flicker of amusement crossing his mind, I have to see if old man Tucci is really the secret final boss like those fan theories used to say. He didn't know the way, but Ichiraku's fame in Konoha was such that a simple question to a passing merchant pointed him in the right direction. He was halfway there when the sounds of a scuffle echoed from a narrow side alley. Harsh, mocking laughter was punctuated by the thud of impacts. Huh? What's going on? Asterisk his curiosity piqued, Ren altered his course, stepping into the shadowed alley. The scene that greeted him was both predictable and infuriating. 3 older boys had another child cornered. The victim was on the ground, curled up, but even from a distance, Ren could see the defiance in his posture. He wasn't crying. He wasn't begging. "Huh, you loser. Think you're tough now," one of the bullies sneered, kicking dirt at the boy on the ground. "Yeah, a piece of trash like you shouldn't even be in the academy," another chimed in. "Freak." The boy on the ground pushed himself up, wiping a trickle of blood from his split lip with the back of his hand. His shock of bright yellow hair was matted with grime. "I'm not trash," he yelled back, his voice cracking with a mixture of pain and sheer, unadulterated will. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. And I'm gonna be Hokage someday." The name hit Ren like a physical blow. Naruto. Memories, not his own yet entirely his, flooded his mind. Uzumaki Naruto. The protagonist. The orphaned son of the fourth Hokage, a living prison for the nine-tailed fox, and the village's collective punching bag. A boy who grew up in profound loneliness, who screamed for attention through pranks because any attention was better than none. A boy whose unwavering dream was born from a desperate desire for the very thing denied to him, recognition. Ren had once been that lonely. After his parents' death in his previous life, he had shut down, retreating into a digital world. It was the story of Naruto Uzumaki, his resilience, his stupid, stubborn optimism in the face of absolute rejection, that had somehow, slowly, pulled him back from the brink. This character was more than a drawing on a screen, he had been a lifeline. And now, that lifeline was being kicked in an alley. The bullies roared with laughter. "Hokage? You? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. If you're Hokage, I'm the daimyo himself. Let's teach him another lesson." They moved in to kick him again. "Get away from him." Ren's voice was low, colder than he intended. It cut through the bullies' laughter like a knife. All three of them froze and turned. "Who said?" One began, then his eyes widened in recognition and fear. It's Uchiha." It was the boy from class. The one who had effortlessly defeated Kenji. The one whose finger had stabbed clean through the wooden floor. The Uchiha. Their bravado evaporated, replaced by pure, primal fear. They remembered the cold look in his eyes, the utter lack of effort in his violence. "I said get out," Ren repeated, taking a step forward. His hands were at his sides, but they were clenched into fists. "Or would you prefer to stay and play with me?" They didn't need a second invitation. With panicked yelps, they scrambled over each other to flee the alley, disappearing around the corner without a backward glance. Ren watched them go, his anger slowly receding. He then turned and walked over to the boy still sitting in the dirt. "Are you okay?" Ren asked, extending a hand. Naruto looked up, his blue eyes wide with surprise and confusion. He ignored the hand and pushed himself to his feet, brushing off his orange jumpsuit with a bravado that was painfully transparent. "Hey! I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Future Hokage. I don't need any help. This is nothing. I'll be fine by tomorrow." Ren almost smiled. Right. Jinchuriki healing. The bruises on Naruto's face were already fading from angry purple to a faint yellow. "I know who you are," Ren said, lowering his hand. "I'm Uchiha Ren." "Uchiha Ren." Naruto muttered, recognition dawning. "From class. Yeah. Well, thanks, I guess. I'm gonna go now." He turned to leave, his shoulders slightly hunched, expecting the interaction to be over. It always was. "Hey, Naruto," Ren called out. Naruto stopped, looking back over his shoulder, suspicion in his eyes. "Huh? What else do you want?" Ren took a breath. This felt important. "Let's be friends." The effect was instantaneous. Naruto's entire body went rigid. He turned fully around, his expression one of utter, complete shock, as if Ren had just spoken in a language from another dimension. What? You want to be friends? With me?" The words stumbled out of his mouth, laced with a hope so fragile it was heartbreaking. "Yeah," Ren said, and this time he did smile, a genuine one. "Is that so strange?" "And no. I mean, just." Naruto stammered, utterly flustered. Then, aloud, embarrassing gurgle erupted from his stomach, cutting off his sentence. His face flushed a deep red. That. Ren's smile widened. Sounds like someone's hungry. I was actually on my way to get ramen. Ichiraku. Do you know it? As if by magic, the embarrassment vanished from Naruto's face, replaced by pure, unadulterated joy. Ichiraku. Of course I know it. It's the best ramen in the whole world. It's my favorite place. I'll take you there. Come on. He was practically bouncing with energy, all his previous injuries forgotten. He led the way with the familiarity of a second home, chattering excitedly about the merits of miso broth over salt broth. Ren followed, listening with amusement. The ramen shop was exactly as he'd imagined, small, warm, and inviting. The owner, Tuchi, was indeed just a kind, ordinary man with a passion for noodles, not some all-powerful ninja master. Ren ordered a bowl of miso ramen, and Naruto, after a moment of wide-eyed hesitation at Ren's insistence, ordered two. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, broken only by Naruto's enthusiastic slurping. The ramen was, as promised, delicious. Are you full? Ren asked, finishing his own bowl. Do you want another? Nah, I'm good. Thanks for the treat, believe it. Naruto said, patting his stomach contentedly. The phrase, believe it, slipped out, a habit Ren remembered fondly. Don't mention it, Ren said, paying Tuchi. That's what friends are for, right? The word friends made Naruto's eyes shine. Right, well, I should head home, Ren said, stepping out of the shop. See you tomorrow at the academy, Naruto. Yeah. See you tomorrow, Ren. Naruto waved, his grin so wide it looked like it might split his face. Ren walked away, leaving Naruto standing outside the ramen stand. He glanced back once to see the boy still standing there, not moving, as if trying to process what had just happened. Then, it seemed to click. Naruto suddenly jumped into the air, punching the sky. I have a friend. I have a friend. Tuchio-jisen, did you hear that? I have a friend. The old man's warm laughter echoed down the street. That's wonderful, Naruto. I'm happy for you. I'm gonna go home now. Thanks for the ramen. Naruto yelled, before turning and sprinting down the street towards his apartment, his energy seemingly limitless. I have a friend asterisk, he kept thinking, the words a magical chant against the loneliness. I really have a friend. For the first time in a long time, Uzumaki Naruto went to bed not dreading the next day, but desperately, eagerly awaiting the sunrise. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Chapter 9, The Calm Before the Storm. Ren returned home to find Uchiha Fugaku had already returned. The family was seated around the low dining table, the steam from the untouched meal rising into the quiet room. They had waited for him. A complex emotion, sharp and warm, pricked at Ren's heart. He quickly suppressed it, building his walls higher. I'm home, he said, his voice neutral. Uchiha Fugaku merely glanced up from his scroll, gave a curt nod, and said nothing more. He didn't ask where Ren had been. Mikoto, however, smiled warmly. Come, sit down, Ren. The food is getting cold. She gestured to his usual spot, already filling a bowl with rice for him. Thank you, mother. He had been about to say he'd already eaten with Naruto, but the words died in his throat. He couldn't bring himself to reject her simple, caring gesture. He sat, the warmth of the bowl unfamiliar in his hands. Let's eat, Fugaku stated, finally setting his scroll aside and picking up his chopsticks. The day's duties had clearly left him hungry, yet he had waited. The stern patriarch's love was a silent, unspoken thing, expressed not in words but in actions like this. The meal was a quiet affair. The only sounds were the gentle clinking of dishes. Mikoto broke the silence occasionally, serving Sasuke and Ren more food, her face lit with a quiet joy just watching them eat. I'm finished. Thank you for the meal, father, mother. I will retire to my room. Ren bowed slightly after clearing his bowl, eager to escape the stifling, loving atmosphere. Oh. You ate so little. Are you feeling unwell, Ren? Mikoto's voice was laced with immediate concern. "I'm fine," Ren replied, his tone deliberately flat, betraying none of the turmoil inside. He needed to get out. Now. Just tired. He turned and left before she could ask more, closing the door to his room behind him and leaning against it with a long, weary sigh. This is getting harder *, he thought. Every day, it gets harder. The next morning, Ren was woken by the sound of Sasuke's excited voice echoing through the compound. What's he so worked up about? Ren thought, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Unless Itachi is back, Pushing his door open, his suspicion was confirmed. Sasuke was practically buzzing around Itachi, who stood calmly in the main room, still wearing the standard Jonin flak jacket over his clothes. "Brother! What did you do yesterday? Why were you gone so long?" Sasuke pressed. "It's a mission secret, Sasuke. I cannot discuss it." Itachi's voice was gentle but firm. He tapped Sasuke lightly on the forehead with 2 fingers, a familiar, affectionate gesture. Then his dark eyes, so much older than his years, found Ren. "Ren. You're awake." "Yeah," Ren answered with his customary brevity, moving past them toward the bathroom to wash up. "Alright, Sasuke, stop pestering your brother. Come, breakfast is ready. You both need to leave for the academy soon." Mikoto's voice carried from the kitchen, a gentle command that finally pulled Sasuke away. After a quiet breakfast, Ren and Sasuke walked to the academy together, the silence between them a heavy, tangible thing. "Good morning, Ren-kun," a cheerful voice called out the moment Ren stepped into the classroom. It was Ino, her blonde ponytail swishing. "Morning, Ino," Ren replied politely, offering a small smile before continuing to his seat. As he passed a certain desk, he paused. "Naruto. How's the, feeling today?" Naruto looked up, startled that Ren had addressed him so openly. A wide, brilliant grin spread across his face. It's all good. Nothing keeps Uzumaki Naruto down for long, believe it." "Good." Ren nodded and moved on. "Good morning, Ren-kun," Akane said softly from the desk beside his, a shy smile on her face. "Good morning, Akane," he replied, sitting down. He noticed Kenji, the bully from the first day, was conspicuously silent, pointedly looking away. The days began to blur into a comfortable, repetitive rhythm. Irika's history lessons remained a powerful sedative, and Ren often found his head drooping onto his desk, only to be gently nudged awake by Akane when class was dismissed. Slowly, he grew familiar with all the key players from the original story. Unlike the aloof and brooding Sasuke, Ren was approachable and calm outside his home. He didn't seek the spotlight, but he didn't push others away either. People were drawn to him. Ino's initial crush matured into a steadfast, friendly loyalty, and she and Sakura remained close friends, their rivalry redirected, Sakura forever trying to get Sasuke's attention, and Ino often finding excuses to talk to Ren. After a week of foundational lessons, Irika finally began the real ninja curriculum, the nature of chakra, its basic properties, and the technique for refining it. For Ren, who had already mastered this through the system, it was another reason to nap. Initially, Irika was annoyed by the sleeping student, but his frustration turned to stunned disbelief when Ren, once woken, effortlessly demonstrated perfect chakra control, forming a stable, visible ball of blue energy in his palm. News spread quickly. Another genius had emerged from the ninja academy. Uchiha Ren, younger son of the clan head, younger brother of the legendary prodigy Itachi. While Sasuke was undoubtedly skilled, it was Ren who now captured the village's attention. The Uchiha name once again inspired awe and whispers of a clan overflowing with talent. That year, Uchiha Ren and Uchiha Sasuke, at age 6, entered the ninja academy. That same year, Uchiha Itachi, at age 11, was inducted into the ANBU Black Ops. 2 years later the shadow over the Uchiha clan had only grown longer. Since the Nine Tails attack 4 years prior, suspicion from the village had festered into open prejudice. The clan had been forced to relocate to the outskirts of Konoha, isolated and monitored. This humiliation bred a deep-seated resentment. A rebellion began to simmer within the clan's walls. Uchiha Fugaku, pressured by his clansmen and sharing their wounded pride, became its reluctant leader. He used his son's position, forcing Itachi to serve as a spy within the ANBU to gather intelligence on the village's leadership. For 2 years, Itachi lived a torturous double life. Konoha's elders, aware of his love for peace, turned the tables, forcing him to monitor his own family. He became a pawn, trapped in the political chasm between the village he swore to protect and the family he loved. The pressure reached its breaking point in a secret, underground meeting room. 3 figures defined the fate of a clan. Uchiha Itachi stood half-kneeling before the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. To the Hokage's side, leaning on his cane, stood Shimura Danzo, his one visible eye cold and calculating. "Have you reached your decision, Itachi?" Danzo's voice was like gravel. "If the Uchiha are allowed to proceed with their coup, we will have no choice but to send Konoha's ninja to stop them. The bloodshed will be immense. And it will include your younger brothers." "Danzo, wait," the third Hokage interjected, his face lined with grief. "There must still be a path of negotiation." "We cannot." "Negotiation?" Danzo cut him off, his tone dismissive. "Their conspiracy has run for years, Hiruzen. They are too far gone for talk. It is a cancer that must be cut out." Itachi remained motionless, his head bowed. When he spoke, his voice was hollow, stripped of all emotion. If I am the one to do it, will you truly spare my brothers?" "Of course," Danzo said smoothly. "However, one of them must be inducted into the Foundation." The Root organization, Danzo's personal Black Ops division, was a fate worse than death for many, a place where children were stripped of their identities, brainwashed, and turned into emotionless tools. "No." Itachi's head snapped up, a flicker of fire in his dead eyes. "They cannot go to Root." "You have no choice," Danzo pressed, his voice hardening. "The alternative is that they both share the clan's fate. It is one life for the other. Or none at all." "Danzo, this is too far," the third Hokage snapped, his authority flaring. But Danzo ignored him, his single eye locked on Itachi. "Well? What is your answer?" Itachi closed his eyes. His hands, clenched at his sides, were white-knuckled, his nails drawing blood from his palms. The weight of the world crushed down on his slender shoulders. He saw the future, a river of blood, his father, his mother, his aunts, uncles, all slain by his hand. He saw Sasuke's future, shattered by trauma. And he saw Ren, his quiet, enigmatic brother, swallowed by the darkness of Root. There was no choice. There was only a path of unimaginable pain that led to a sliver of hope for the two he loved most. He opened his eyes. The fire was gone, replaced by a bottomless, chilling resolve. "I will do it," he whispered, the words tasting like ash. "I will carry the sin. I will become the villain. And I will leave Konoha. But you will keep your word. You will protect them both." "Do not worry," Danzo said, a note of triumph in his voice. "I only require one Uchiha for the Foundation. The other will be left untouched. Then I take my leave." Itachi bowed to the third Hokage, not meeting the old man's grief-stricken eyes, and turned to leave the room, his footsteps echoing in the tomb-like silence. "Danzo, why?" Hiruzen asked, his voice heavy with defeat once they were alone. "This is excessive, even for you." "Humph. The Uchiha are too dangerous," Danzo stated coldly. "I will not allow their power to exist outside my control. This is not your concern." With that, he too turned and left, his cane tapping a grim rhythm on the stone floor. Alone in the dim room, the third Hokage, the professor, the god of shinobi, could only sink into his chair and release a long, weary sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the entire village. The stage was set for a massacre. The peace of Konoha would be bought with the blood of its most powerful clan, and the soul of its most tragic son. Chapter 10, The Nightmare Begins. Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. In the secluded woods behind the Uchiha compound, Ren's voice cut through the evening air. His hands flew through a series of hand seals with practiced ease: tiger, snake, ram, monkey, boar, tiger, horse. He took a deep breath, chakra gathering in his throat, and exhaled a massive orb of roaring flame that scorched the clearing, leaving the air shimmering with heat and smelling of ozone and ash. This was the first proper ninjutsu he had learned. Sasuke, eager to prove his own prowess, had taught it to him 2 years prior, a technique he himself had learned from Itachi. The academy taught only the 3 basic jutsu, everything else came from clan training or, in Ren's case, a desperate need to get stronger. His chakra nature, as he discovered long ago, was a dual affinity for lightning and fire, a potent combination shared by many in his clan. The Uchiha affinity for fire was as much a part of their legacy as the Sharingan itself. Enough for today, Ren panted, sweat tracing lines through the dirt on his face. He walked to a large tree root and sat, his body humming with exhaustion and residual chakra. System. Check my points, asterisk. Host's current point total, 2,739. Would you like to open the exchange interface, asterisk? No, Ren replied. He had been saving the points from his daily stipend religiously for 2 years, a nest egg for a true emergency. He'd also received 2 annual lottery draws. The first had granted him moon walk, Jeppo, another of the Navy's 6 powers, allowing him to kick the air with such force he could achieve limited flight. The second was more unusual, a summoning contract with a species of psychic canines he could only describe as pugmastiffs, a fiercely combative breed. The strongest he could currently summon was a 10-meter-tall beast from this clan named Rokudo, king of the 6 paths, though Ren privately called him Lord Fluffy. Despite the grandiose name, this particular beast was a notoriously ruthless brawler within his clan, having earned his status by triumphing in countless bloody fights, losing an eye in the process. He now wore a fearsome patch and a necklace of his fallen foe's fangs. Over these 2 years, Ren's skills had sharpened dramatically. His Sharingan had evolved to 2 Tomo, and his overall prowess placed him firmly among the ranks of Konoha's elite genin, at least in raw potential. It's getting late. Time for dinner. He pushed himself up and began the short walk home, a sense of normalcy settling over him that he knew, deep down, was fragile. When he arrived, he found Fugaku was not home, but Itachi was there, a rare occurrence. Sasuke was clinging to his every word. Run. You're back. Come here, Itachi said, his voice softer than usual. Ren approached, a flicker of curiosity cutting through his fatigue. What is it, brother? It's nothing major, Itachi said, a faint, uncharacteristic smile touching his lips. It just occurred to me that the 3 of us haven't truly talked in a long time. Ren was taken aback. Itachi was not one for casual conversation, especially not lately. Is that so? Yes. Sasuke, Itachi turned to his younger brother, you and Ren have always been distant. This isn't good. We are brothers. You 2 are twins. That bond should be stronger than any other. Sasuke and Ren exchanged a brief, puzzled glance. The advice felt off. Ominous. Boys. Whatever you're talking about, dinner is ready. Mikoto's voice called from the kitchen, warm and grounding. It's nothing, Itachi said, the strange moment passing as quickly as it came. He stood. Just, take care of each other. Let's eat. The meal was quieter than usual. Itachi seemed contemplative, his eyes distant. Ren pushed his food around his plate, the sense of unease from the woods returning tenfold, coiling in his gut like a cold snake. Later, lying in his own bed, Ren couldn't shake the feeling. Itachi's words, his unusual presence, it felt like a farewell. Could it be, is it tonight? The thought was a splash of ice water. The clan's unrest, the village's suspicion, it had all been building. He had tried to distance himself, to harden his heart, but the dread was now a physical weight on his chest. He got up and padded softly to his parents' room, knocking gently. The door opened to reveal Mikoto, her hair down, dressed for sleep. Ren. What's wrong, sweetheart, mother? He began, the word feeling foreign and right on his tongue. I was wondering if I could sleep in here tonight. Mikoto's face softened into a beautiful, surprised smile. Of course you can, Ren. I'd love that. She ushered him in. What brought this on? she asked as she tucked him into the extra futon beside her own. Nothing, he whispered, lying down and facing her. I just wanted to be near you. Mikoto's smile was radiant in the moonlight filtering through the window. You called me mother. That's the first time in years. She reached out and gently stroked his hair. Get some sleep. You and Sasuke have school tomorrow. I heard there's a test. Good night. Mother. Good night, my son. Mikoto fell asleep quickly. Ren did not. He lay awake for hours, watching the rise and fall of her chest, memorizing the peaceful lines of her face, a terrible, aching love and a crushing fear warring inside him. The next day, Ren was up before dawn, exhaustion clinging to him. Mikoto made breakfast, and the two brothers left for the academy in a silence thicker than usual. Ren's restlessness grew throughout the day. He was distracted, barely registering greetings from Naruto, Akane, or Ino. His mind was a storm of dread. Why today? Why do I feel like this? Alright, settle down. Irika's voice called the class to order. We're having a pop quiz today. One of the 3 basic jutsu, the transformation technique. Line up. The test dragged on interminably. Ren fumbled his own transformation, something he hadn't done in years, his focus shattered. Irika gave him a concerned look but passed him. The sun was beginning to set by the time the last student was done. School is dismissed. Irika announced. Hey, Ren. Let's go get ramen. Celebrate surviving the test. Naruto yelled, slinging an arm around his friend's shoulder. Sorry, Naruto. Not today. I have to go, Ren mumbled, shrugging him off without even looking back. He began to run, his heart hammering against his ribs. Sasuke, seeing the raw panic on his twin's face, an emotion he'd never seen there before, felt a jolt of his own fear. Without understanding why, he broke into a sprint after him. They ran through the streets, the familiar path to their compound feeling alien and menacing. As they reached the main gate, the first wrongness struck them. It was silent. The compound was never silent. There was always the sound of chatter, of training, of life. Now, there was nothing. An oppressive, dead quiet hung over the entire district. The brothers exchanged a terrified glance and slowed to a walk, their steps echoing unnaturally loud in the stillness. Then they saw them. 2 figures lying crumpled near the pathway, dark pools staining the earth around them. It was an elderly couple who always greeted them on their way to school. Oba-san. Aji-san. Sasuke cried out, his voice trembling as he dropped to his knees and shook the man's shoulder. There was no response. The skin was already cold. How? What happened? Sasuke looked up at Ren, his eyes wide with horror. Ren didn't answer. He was frozen, his face pale. Mom, he whispered. Then, louder, a desperate mantra, Mom. Mom. As if suddenly electrocuted, he broke into a frantic sprint towards their house, Sasuke scrambling to follow. The horror escalated with every step. More bodies. Men, women. Lying in doorways, collapsed in the street. The Uchiha compound had become a graveyard. They finally skidded to a halt in front of their home. It was dark. No lights were on. No smell of dinner cooking. Dad? Mom? Sasuke called out, his voice a thin, reedy thing full of childlike fear. A faint sound came from within the house. A scrape. A footstep. Their hearts in their throats, they crept to the living room door, too afraid to push it open. They could only stare at each other, seeing their own terror reflected back. Finally, Ren, his hands shaking violently, reached out and pushed the door. It swung open silently. The scene inside would be seared into their minds forever. Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Mikoto lay together in the center of the room, surrounded by a vast, dark crimson stain that soaked into the tatami mats. Their eyes were closed, they could have been sleeping if not for the brutal, final stillness of death. Dad! Mom! Sasuke screamed, lurching forward. A figure detached itself from the shadows in the corner of the room. Ren didn't even see him. He stumbled forward and fell to his knees beside his mother's body, ignoring everything else. He gathered her cold, lifeless form into his arms, holding her tightly. The dam inside him broke. Silent, wrenching sobs shook his frame as he buried his face in her hair, his world collapsing into utter, absolute grief. Itachi stepped fully into the dim light. He was clad in a full ANBU armor, his porcelain mask pushed to the top of his head. His face was a cold, emotionless mask. But his eyes held the swirling, monstrous pattern of the Mangekyo Sharingan. He looked at Sasuke, then his gaze fell upon Ren, clutching their dead mother. He said nothing. The silence was louder than any scream. Chapter 11, The Aftermath. Brother. Sasuke's voice was a broken, disbelieving whisper. He clutched his bleeding shoulder where Itachi's shuriken had grazed him, pinning his sleeve to the wall. Brother, why are Mom and Dad, why? How could this happen? Who did this? The answer was not words. Itachi's eyes, those familiar, loving eyes, swirled and morphed into a monstrous, terrifying pattern, the Mangekyo Sharingan. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He forced the horrific truth directly into their minds. Tsukuyomi, *. Ren and Sasuke were plunged into a hellish vision. They saw Itachi, moving with cold, brutal efficiency. They saw their clansmen fall before his blade, their faces frozen in shock and betrayal. They saw the familiar streets of their home run red. They were forced to witness the massacre, over and over again, each death a fresh wound on their souls. Ah! Stop! Brother, don't show me! Stop! Sasuke screamed, collapsing to his knees and clutching his head, trying to block out the unbearable images. Ren remained silent, still clutching his mother's cold body, but his own silent sobs hitched as the horrific visions invaded his mind, layering new trauma over his immediate grief. The illusion broke as suddenly as it began. Sasuke slumped on the ground, his spirit shattered, his eyes vacant and dull. Why? He rasped, the words scraping from his throat. Why did you do it? Brother, to test my capacity, Itachi stated, his voice flat, devoid of any humanity. It was the voice of a stranger. To test your capacity. Just for that, you killed everyone. Sasuke's disbelief curdled into raw, incandescent rage. He pushed himself up, his small body trembling. This is very important, Itachi replied, closing his eyes for a brief moment as if the conversation was a tedious obligation. What? Stop joking. Sasuke roared, lunging forward with a fist raised. Itachi moved faster than sight. A single, precise punch to Sasuke's solar plexus drove the air from his lungs and sent him crumpling back to the floor, gasping and retching. It's not you, it can't be you, brother, because... Sasuke whimpered, still trying to reject the reality before him. I have always acted the part of the perfect brother for a single purpose, to measure your potential, Itachi recited, his words a cold, pre-prepared script. You possess the possibility of becoming my worthy opponent. That is the only reason you are still alive. To open your eyes, as I have, you must fulfill a special condition. You must kill your closest friend. Just as I did. Really? Brother, you killed. Shursui, yes. That is how I obtained this power. Itachi's gaze was unwavering. In the main hall of the Naka shrine, beneath the 7th tatami mat from the right, lies the clan's secret meeting place. There, you will find the Uchiha tablet. It holds the original records of our clan's ocular jutsu, and the true secret of our existence. If you open your eyes, there will be 4 of us who have mastered the Mangekyo. Only then will your life have meaning. He looked down at his broken brothers. But now, you are not even worth killing. Foolish little brother. If you wish to kill me, then hate me. Despise me. And run away, and cling to your pathetic life. Then someday, when you have the same eyes as I do, come before me. His Mangekyo Sharingan activated once more, not with the prolonged torture of Tsukuyomi, but with a simpler, overpowering genjutsu. The world swam and went black for both Ren and Sasuke. They collapsed into unconsciousness on the blood-soaked floor. The moment they lost consciousness, the air in the room wavered and distorted. A figure clad in a black cloak with a swirling orange mask materialized from nothingness beside Itachi. "Finished?" the masked man asked, his voice muffled and oddly hollow. Itachi didn't answer. His cold facade cracked for a single, heart-rending second as he looked down at his brothers, his eyes filled with an ocean of unbearable pain and love. The masked man followed his gaze but said nothing more. He simply placed a hand on Itachi's shoulder. The space around them twisted into a spiral vortex, sucking them both inward until they vanished without a trace, leaving only the chilling silence and the scent of blood and rain. Konoha Hospital *. Run. Ren, wake up. The voice was gentle, familiar. A balm on his shattered soul. Mother? Ren's eyes fluttered open. He was standing in a field of soft light. Not far away, Uchiha Mikoto stood, smiling at him with infinite tenderness. "Ren, you must take care of yourself from now on. Mother is leaving." Leaving? Panic seized him. Where are you going? Don't go. Hee. Take care of yourself. And take care of Sasuke. She didn't answer his question. She only repeated her gentle admonition, her smile never fading. Then she turned and began to walk away. Mother, wait. Ren tried to run after her, but his legs were leaden. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't close the distance. He could only watch, helpless, as her form grew smaller and smaller, until she dissolved into the light. Mother. Ren's eyes snapped open. He was lying in a sterile white bed, his body drenched in a cold sweat, his heart hammering against his ribs. The sharp, clean smell of antiseptic filled his nostrils. His eyes were wide, bloodshot, and the 3 tomo of his Sharingan spun wildly without his conscious command before receding. A dream. It was just a dream. The relief was so potent it was dizzying. He took several deep, shuddering breaths, trying to calm his racing heart. He pushed himself up, looking around the unfamiliar, sterile room. A hospital. Why am I in a hospital? Then, the memories returned. Not as a dream, but as a vicious, physical assault. The silent compound, the bodies, the living room, the blood, his mother, cold and lifeless in his arms. Ah! Ren screamed, clutching his head as the pain of the memories lanced through his skull. No. It's not real. It can't be real. Mother. Ignoring the blinding pain, he scrambled out of bed, his limbs weak and uncoordinated. He stumbled out of the room into a white hallway. He saw Sasuke then, leaning against a wall further down the corridor, his face pale, his fists clenched so tight his knuckles were white. 2 nurses were speaking to him in hushed, concerned tones. Ren didn't process it. He didn't care. He had to get out. He had to go home. This was all a mistake. He ran, shoving past orderlies, his bare feet slapping against the cold linoleum floor. He heard voices calling after him, Sasuke's among them, but they were just noise. He burst through the hospital's main doors and into the late afternoon air. He ran. He ran with every ounce of strength he had left, driven by a desperate, fading hope that it had all been a nightmare. He would burst through the door of his house and Mikoto would be there, smiling. Ren, you're back. Dinner is almost ready. He skidded to a halt at the entrance to the Uchiha compound. His last shred of hope was annihilated. The gate was cordoned off with thick, yellow warning tape that read, "Crime scene, do not enter." The vibrant, bustling streets were deathly still and empty. The air itself felt heavy, thick with grief and absence. Ren fell to his knees on the wet pavement, his hands scraping against the rough ground. He squeezed his eyes shut, but the tears came anyway, streaming down his face in a silent, hopeless torrent. It hurts. Why does it hurt so much? He thought, his mind reeling. I knew this day would come. I knew the outcome. I built walls so I wouldn't feel this. So why? Why does it feel like my heart is being torn out? Asterisk. Images of Mikoto flooded his mind. Her smile. The way her eyes crinkled when she looked at him. Her gentle voice greeting him each day. Her unwavering care, even in the face of his cold indifference. He realized, with an agony more acute than any physical wound, that he had been lying to himself. He wasn't detached. He was utterly, completely dependent on her love. He had needed it more than air. Ag, he wailed, the sound raw and torn from the depths of his being. Regret, thick and suffocating, drowned him. He hated himself. He regretted every time he had shrugged off her affection, every time he had answered her kindness with a flat, emotionless word, every time he had chosen isolation over the love she so freely offered. How I wish you were here now, asterisk, he thought, his body shaking. Asterisk, I would kneel and beg your forgiveness. I would tell you I'm sorry. I would tell you I love you, asterisk, but it was too late. The chance was gone, forever. Mother. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Forgive me, Mother, he screamed his repentance to the uncaring, gray sky. As if in cruel mockery of his pain, the sky opened up. A cold, heavy rain began to fall, soaking him to the bone in seconds. Ren didn't move. He knelt in the downpour, his cries of anguish mixing with the sound of the rain, his tears indistinguishable from the droplets streaming down his face. Finally, exhausted, hollowed out, and broken, he pitched forward, collapsing unconscious into a puddle on the rain-slicked street. Sasuke, who had followed him from the hospital, watched his twin's devastating breakdown from the shadows of a nearby building. His own heart was a knot of grief and fury, but seeing Ren's complete shattering added a new layer of desolation. Despite their rivalry, they were brothers. They were all each other had left in the world now, that, and a shared, burning hatred for the one who had taken everything from them. Gritting his teeth, Sasuke walked out into the rain. He knelt, and with great effort, he hauled Ren's unconscious form onto his back. Straining under the weight, he began the long, slow, miserable walk back through the rain to the hospital, each step fueled by a vow of vengeance that was now the only thing keeping him upright. Chapter 12, A Gilded Cage. Sasuke managed to haul Ren's unconscious form back to the hospital, leaving him in the care of the bewildered nurses. Then, alone, he turned and walked back into the rain, drawn like a ghost to the place that was no longer home. The streets of the Uchiha compound were deserted, the silence of physical weight. The cold rain soaked through his clothes, but he barely felt it. Every familiar corner, every closed shop front, seemed to echo with phantom sounds, the cheerful greetings of neighbors, the clatter of training from the grounds. It was a cemetery of memories. He pushed open the door to his house, their house. The emptiness inside was deafening. He saw Mikoto's apron hanging by the kitchen, a half-finished scroll of fugakus on a low table. He remembered her gentle scolding when he and Ren would argue, her unwavering love for both of her sons. He remembered his father's stern pride, a mask for a deep, quiet care. A faint, bittersweet smile touched his lips before it was wiped away by a colder, harder reality. The main hall of the Naka shrine. Beneath the seventh tatami from the right, Itachi's cold, scripted words echoed in his mind. The smile vanished, replaced by a grim determination. He had a purpose now. A direction for his all-consuming hatred. He made his way to the Naka shrine, the spiritual heart of the Uchiha clan, now just another tomb. He found the tatami, moved it, and discovered the hidden door. The steps down into the darkness felt like descending into the clan's grave. The secret meeting room was cold and still. And there, on the far wall, was the stone tablet. He approached it, his Sharingan activating instinctively, deciphering the ancient Uchiha script that was hidden from normal sight. Is that it? Is this the secret? He muttered to himself, his eyes scanning the cryptic messages about the curse of hatred, the evolution of the eyes, and the ultimate power that demanded the ultimate price. It was a history written in blood and madness. When he finally emerged, his resolve was steel. His path was clear. The next day, Sasuke went to the academy. The walk through Konoha was a gauntlet of whispers. Civilians pointed at the Uchiha fan on his back, their voices hushed but carrying. "Look, that symbol, did you hear? The whole Uchiha clan, wiped out by one of their own. A boy named Itachi, a genius," they said. The clan head's son, Sasuke, kept his head down, his hands clenched in his pockets, and ignored them all. In the classroom, the weight of stares followed him to his seat. Sakura immediately hovered over him, her face a mask of concern. "Sasuke-kun, are you alright?" He didn't look at her. "I'm fine," he mumbled, laying his head on his desk, shutting her out. "Sasuke-kun." She tried again. He lifted his head, and the look in his eyes was so cold, so full of a darkness she couldn't comprehend, that she flinched back. "Shut up. You're annoying me." Sakura recoiled as if struck, her eyes welling with hurt and confusion. Soon, Ino and Akane approached, their faces equally worried. "Sasuke," Ino asked, her voice softer than usual, "where's Ren? Is he okay? Why isn't he here?" "I don't know." "Stop bothering me," Sasuke snapped, not turning around. "But, you live together, don't you? Is something wrong with Ren-kun?" Akane pressed, genuine worry in her voice. "I said I don't know." Sasuke exploded, slamming his hand on the desk and making them jump. "Who cares about him? Just leave me alone." The girls fell silent, exchanging a helpless, worried glance before retreating to whisper amongst themselves, deciding to find Ren after school. Irika began the lesson, his own gaze frequently drifting to Sasuke's empty desk and Ren's vacant one. He said nothing. Some wounds were too fresh for words. In Konoha Hospital, Ren was awake. He had been staring at the same crack in the ceiling for hours, his mind a numb, empty void. A nurse had come in, tried to coax him to eat, spoken gentle, meaningless words. He had heard none of it. He just stared. The numbness was slowly being burned away by a new, fiercer emotion, a cold, calculating rage. "I will have my revenge." The thought solidified in his mind, hard and sharp as a diamond. "I will have my revenge." He knew the truth. Itachi had sacrificed everything to hide. The Uchiha's planned coup. Danzo's paranoid treachery in stealing Shirsue's eye, forcing the kind-hearted shinobi to suicide to protect his remaining eye and his friend. The village elders' fear and prejudice that made negotiation an impossible dream. Itachi hadn't been the villain, he had been the ultimate sacrifice, a lone wolf taking on the sins of both his clan and his village to prevent a civil war and protect his brother. His hatred was not for Itachi. It was for the architects of this tragedy. For the Konoha elders. And most of all, for Shimura Danzo. "Danzo. I will make you pay. I will make you all pay in blood." He vowed, the promise etching itself onto his heart. But vengeance required power. Overwhelming power. And for that, he needed points. System. Check my points. Host's current point total, 2,748. Would you like to open the exchange interface? Show me Chidori. He commanded. A screen flickered in his vision. Chidori. Type, ninjutsu. Rank, A. Exchange cost, 5,000 points. Insufficient points. 5,000. His current arsenal, the basic Academy 3, the finger gun, the great fireball, was pitiful against the enemies he would face. His daily stipend was a pittance. In a year, he'd have maybe 3,800 points. It wasn't enough. He needed to leave Konoha, to find missions, to hunt enemies, to discover treasures. Staying in this gilded cage, playing the traumatized orphan, was a path to stagnation and weakness. "I must escape Konoha. Soon. Ding. Host is under surveillance. Transmit surveillance image. The system's cold voice was a bucket of ice water. Surveillance. Now. Who? Transmit the image. A new image superimposed over his vision, a thermal outline of a human figure, perfectly camouflaged against the trunk of a tree outside his hospital window. An ANBU operative. But the pattern of the chakra, it felt wrong. Colder. More constrained. Hokage's Anbyu wouldn't be so sloppy as to let the system detect them so easily. Ren thought, his mind racing. And the third has no reason to watch me this closely. Not like this. There was only one other possibility. The organization that operated in even deeper shadows than Anbu. Root, Danzo, the name was a curse in his mind. Why? Why is he watching me? To kill me, he dismissed the thought. If Danzo wanted him dead, he'd already be dead. Then why? A chilling possibility dawned on him. Itachi's deal. Danzo's promise to spare both brothers. But Danzo never made deals he didn't profit from. He had promised not to harm them. He had said nothing about not recruiting them. He wasn't being watched as a threat. He was being watched as an asset. A spare Uchiha. A container for a powerful bloodline. A future tool for Root. Ren's hand clenched into a fist under the thin hospital sheet, his nails digging into his palm. The game had just become infinitely more dangerous. He was no longer just a victim grieving in a hospital bed. He was prey, being circled by a predator. And he needed to decide, very quickly, whether to play dead or to become a predator himself. Chapter 13, Shadows in the Night. Alright, that concludes today's lesson. Class dismissed. Irika announced from the podium, his voice carrying a forced cheerfulness that did little to lighten the heavy atmosphere that had clung to the academy since the massacre. A collective, weary sigh of relief went through the room. Finally, school's over. Shikamaru, let's go to the snack shop. Akimichi Choji said, already rummaging in his bag for his allowance. TCH. So troublesome, Shikamaru drawled, slouching in his seat. Your mom is so easygoing. If my mom found out I was buying snacks again. He shuddered dramatically. Sasuke listened to their mundane exchange, a scowl etching deeper onto his face. Their trivial concerns felt like they belonged to another world. As he stood to leave, Sakura materialized at his desk, her expression a mixture of hope and anxiety. Hey, Sasuke-kun. Do you want to walk home together? Not interested, he bit out, not even granting her a glance as he shouldered his bag and strode out of the classroom. Hey! Sakura-chan. I'll walk with you. Naruto bounded over, his usual grin in place. Get lost, dead last. Sakura snapped, her worry for Sasuke transforming instantly into fury. She punched Naruto squarely on the head, sending him sprawling with a large, swelling bump. Nice one. He totally deserved it. Her inner voice cheered. The classroom slowly emptied, the students scattering to homes that were, for most, still whole. Sasuke didn't go home. He couldn't bear the silence. Instead, he went to the training ground in the woods behind the abandoned Uchiha compound, the same spot where Ren used to train. Now, it was his sanctuary, his prison, his forge. He trained until his muscles screamed and his lungs burned, hurling shuriken after shuriken at weathered wooden posts until they bristled like metallic porcupines. Sweat poured down his face, mixing with tears of frustration he would never admit to shedding. His obsession was a living thing inside him, gnawing at his insides. To kill Itachi, he needed power. Real power. And he was pathetically weak. The gap between a talented academy student and an S-rank missing mean, a man who had single-handedly exterminated Konoha's strongest clan, was an impassable chasm. Oh! I'll kill you. I will kill you, he roared, the name, Itachi, a silent scream in his mind. Fueled by pure hatred, he forced his trembling hands through the familiar seals. Fire style, great fireball technique. A sphere of flame erupted from his mouth, slamming into a post and setting it ablaze. The effort drained the last of his energy, and he collapsed onto the damp earth, his chest heaving. When he finally found the strength to move, dusk had fallen. He dragged his exhausted body back toward the empty shell of his house, the night air cool on his feverish skin. He never made it. A figure appeared on the path before him without a sound, as if woven from the shadows themselves. Sasuke froze, his exhaustion replaced by a jolt of adrenaline. He fell into a clumsy fighting stance. "Who's there?" he demanded, his voice tighter than he intended. The man was clad head to toe in the standard uniform of an ANBU operative, but the mask was different, a plain, unadorned one that offered no identity, only anonymity. The aura he emitted was cold, professional, and utterly oppressive. It was a feeling Sasuke had never experienced from his Chunin teachers at the academy. "Uchiha Sasuke," the man's voice was flat, devoid of inflection. "An important person wishes to speak with you. You will come with me." "An important person?" "Not interested," Sasuke retorted, though a cold dread was beginning to pool in his stomach. "Humph. You misunderstand. This is not a request." The man's voice remained calm, but the air around them suddenly grew thick and heavy. A wave of pure, undiluted killing intent crashed down upon Sasuke. It was so visceral, so overwhelming, that his breath hitched in his throat. His limbs locked up, his body refusing to obey his brain's commands to run or fight. He was a tiny boat in a hurricane, moments from being shattered and swallowed by the sea. This is, he thought, panic seizing him. I'm going to die, Just as suddenly as it appeared, the pressure vanished. Sasuke gasped, staggering back a step. "Do not attempt any further struggle. You will only waste my time. Come." The man took a step forward. In that instant, the sharp whir of cutting air split the night. 3 kunai buried themselves in the ground where the masked man had been standing. He had already vanished, reappearing a few feet away with preternatural speed. Thwip. Thwip. Thwip, Sasuke's head whipped around. Figures, also clad in ANBU gear but with the standard animal masks, now stood on the branches of the surrounding trees, forming a loose perimeter. Their presence was different, still dangerous, but lacking the chilling, impersonal malice of the first operative. The first masked man straightened up. "Umbu. Explain this interference. You are interrupting Root business." "We have no quarrel with Root," one of the new arrivals, a man with a boar mask who seemed to be the leader, stated calmly. "We are here on the direct orders of the Hokage. We are to escort Uchiha Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke is a person of interest to our superior. We cannot relinquish him," the Root agent replied, his tone cautious but firm. "Are you refusing a direct order from the Hokage?" The boar-masked ANBU captain's voice grew hard. "Or is Root now in open rebellion against Konoha?" The Root agent went very still. Root, though answerable only to Danzo, still officially operated under the Hokage's authority. To openly defy a Hokage ANBU squad was tantamount to treason. The numbers were also against him. "I would not dare to imply such a thing," the Root agent finally conceded, his voice tight. "Wise. The situation is clear then. I will report this to my superior." With that, the Root agent performed a swift hand seal and vanished in a faint swirl of leaves, his chakra signature disappearing into the night. The ANBU captain turned his masked gaze to Sasuke, who was still standing frozen, trying to process the deadly political dance that had just unfolded around him. "Uchiha Sasuke. You are free to go. You will speak of this to no one. Is that understood?" Their orders, in truth, were not to escort him but to ensure he was not taken by Root. Mission accomplished, the ANBU captain gave a sharp gesture. In unison, his team flickered and disappeared, melting back into the darkness as silently as they had arrived. Sasuke was left alone on the dark path. The silence they left behind was louder than any explosion. The reality of what had just happened crashed down on him. He had been completely powerless. That Root agent could have killed him or taken him without a second thought. He had been saved not by his own skill, but by the intervention of a rival faction. He was a pawn, a prize to be fought over by unseen powers. His life, his freedom, meant nothing to them. "Damn it! Damn it!" he screamed, falling to his knees and slamming his fists into the hard-packed earth until his knuckles were raw and bloody. The physical pain was nothing compared to the humiliation and fury burning inside him. "How can I kill him like this? How can I get revenge when I'm this weak? This pathetic, *" Tears of pure, Unadulterated rage finally overflowed, tracing hot paths through the dirt on his cheeks. No. I will have my revenge. I must, asterisk his mind shrieked. Asterisk I need power. More power. I'll do anything for it. Anything. I'd sell my soul to the devil himself, asterisk. Alone in the darkness, Uchiha Sasuke's desire for power mutated, twisting into something desperate, all-consuming, and dangerously dark. The path of hatred stretched out before him, more desolate and treacherous than ever. Chapter 14, The Fool's Gambit. The root agent who had retreated from the forest arrived at a hidden, subterranean base, the heart of Danzo's operations, a place where Konoha's sunlight never reached. Lord Danzo, the agent knelt before a large desk, head bowed. The mission was a failure. The man behind the desk, Shimura Danzo, did not look up from the intelligence report he was reading. A failure? His voice was like dry leaves scraping against stone. An elite jounin of Root failed to retrieve a single child who hasn't even graduated from the academy? Explain, sir, it was the ANBU. Hokage's ANBU intervened and took Uchiha Sasuke into their custody under the Hokage's direct orders. Danzo slowly lowered the scroll. His gaze, from his single visible eye, fixed upon the kneeling ninja. The right side of his face and his right eye were heavily bandaged, hiding the stolen power within. Umbu. I see. You are dismissed. Yes, my lord. The agent bowed lower and vanished as silently as he had arrived. Danzo sat in the ensuing silence. Humph, Sarutobi, you still seek to protect the Uchiha remnants. It seems I must deal with this personally. A similar debriefing was occurring in the Hokage Tower. Lord Hokage, the mission is complete. Uchiha Sasuke is safe and secure, the ANBU captain with the boar mask reported, kneeling with his team. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, looked up from the mountain of paperwork on his desk. Well done. You are dismissed. Yes, Lord Hokage. The ANBU operatives vanished in a series of soft shunshin sounds. Once alone, Sarutobi set down his pen, picked up his long-stemmed pipe, and walked to the large window overlooking the village. The lights of Konoha twinkled like distant stars. Itachi. I am sorry. This is all I can do for you now. A soft knock came at the door. Enter. A Chunin aide stepped inside. Lord Third, it is very late. You should retire for the evening. I am waiting, Sarutobi said, not turning from the window. Waiting, sir. For whom? For a guest. Do not trouble yourself. You may go. Yes, Lord Hokage. The aide bowed and left, closing the door softly behind him. Not 5 minutes later, the door opened again without a knock. Heavy, deliberate footsteps echoed on the wooden floor. You're here, Danzo, Sarutobi stated calmly, finally turning around to face his old friend and rival. You knew I would come, Danzo said, his one eye narrowing. I know you better than anyone, Danzo. I knew you would come the moment my ANBU returned. Why did you interfere? Danzo's voice was a low growl. Perhaps a better question is why you felt the need to abduct a child in the dead of night, Sarutobi countered, taking a long draw from his pipe. I said a year ago that the Uchiha are too dangerous. We cannot allow their power to exist outside our control. I agreed to spare both boys, but one was to be inducted into Root. That was the agreement with Itachi. Oh. Sarutobi's tone was deceptively light. In that case, I will have Uchiha-ren delivered to your Root headquarters tomorrow. Will that suffice? Enough, Sarutobi. Danzo snapped. You know who I want. Uchiha Sasuke. Not that imbecile, Ren. As you are well aware, Sarutobi said, exhaling a plume of smoke, there are only 2 Uchiha children left, Sasuke and Ren. Since the tragedy a year ago, Uchiha Ren has suffered a complete mental collapse. He has been reduced to a babbling fool who cannot even feed or clothe himself. He is, for all intents and purposes, a vegetable. Uchiha Sasuke is the clan's only viable heir. If any harm were to come to him, Itachi would not stand idly by. You understand the implications. What tricks can a mere missing nin possibly manage? Danzo scoffed, though the threat of Itachi's wrath was a calculated risk he had to consider. Missing nin or not, you know the truth of his power. Furthermore, Itachi possesses certain secrets of Konoha. If he were to decide to reveal them, the consequences would be catastrophic. Humph. He should never have been left alive, Danzo muttered bitterly. That was not an option, Sarutobi said, his voice firm. Such a grave event required a scapegoat. And do not forget, Danzo, Itachi possesses the Mangekyo Sharingan. Our teacher, the second Hokage, warned us of the terrifying power of those eyes. Have you forgotten? Mangekyo Sharingan, *, a flicker of naked greed shone in Danzo's eye. He understood its power all too well. Uchiha Shirsue's right eye was already nestled in his own socket. Will you simply protect that Uchiha remnant, then? Danzo pressed, unwilling to concede. I do what is necessary for the stability of the village. Sasuke Uchiha is not to be touched. That is final. In Sarutobi's eyes, Ren was already a lost cause, a useless pawn to be sacrificed to placate Danzo's paranoia. As for Ren, he is yours if you want him. He is of no use to anyone now. Humph. I have no need for that worthless trash. Danzo turned sharply. Very well. But remember, Sarutobi. I hope you do not live to regret the choice you made today. Sarutobi watched his old teammate leave, the door closing with a soft click. He sighed, the weight of the village heavy on his shoulders. He had played his hand. He could only hope it was enough. Later that night, Sasuke returned to the oppressive silence of his home. The encounter with Root and Anbu had left him shaken, his pride in tatters. He moved through the motions on autopilot, going to the kitchen to prepare a simple meal for two. He placed one tray of food in a spare room where a figure lay completely hidden under a thick futon. Sasuke looked at the covered form with a complex mix of pity and frustration before closing the door and returning to the main room to eat his own meal in utter solitude. Once the door clicked shut, the figure under the covers stirred. A head emerged from the blankets. It was Uchiha Ren. He sat up and crawled over to the tray of food Sasuke had left. Eat, eat, he mumbled in a high, childish voice. Sasuke finally brought food. Baby is so hungry. In the other room, Sasuke heard the muttering and sighed, a fresh wave of despair washing over him. The world is truly unpredictable, he thought. The once reserved and sharp Ren had been reduced to this, a babbling infant in a teenager's body. After Ren's complete breakdown a year ago, crying over their mother's body until he passed out, he had awoken like this. The medic said the trauma had shattered his mind, regressing him to a toddler's state. Despite their past rivalry, Sasuke couldn't bring himself to abandon his only remaining family to an orphanage. He had shouldered the burden, becoming his brother's keeper. But as Ren picked at his food, he suddenly froze. A voice, cold and utterly devoid of emotion, spoke in the quiet of his mind. Ding! Host surveillance status has been lifted, *. Ren's dull, vacant expression vanished in an instant, replaced by one of sharp, focused alertness. What did you say, *, he thought, his internal voice a stark contrast to the childish babble he used aloud. The surveillance is gone, confirmed. There are no monitoring entities or devices in the host's vicinity, *. Finally, Ren's shoulders slumped with a relief so profound it was almost painful. They're finally gone. A whole year of this charade, *. The truth was a carefully guarded secret. Ren had not lost his mind. The breakdown had been a masterful act, a desperate gambit conceived the moment the system had alerted him to Danzo's surveillance a year ago. He had feigned catatonia, then a regressive idiocy, all to appear useless, non-threatening, a broken tool not worth Danzo's attention. He had played the fool, every day, every hour, under the watchful eye of an unseen enemy. I didn't dare leave the house. I didn't dare drop the act for a second. I thought Danzo's suspicion would never end. I was starting to think I'd actually go crazy, *. But the watchful eyes were gone. The gamble had paid off. He was finally, truly, free. And now, the real work could begin. Chapter 15, The Hidden Cave. The moment Sasuke left for the academy, Ren erupted into motion. He leaped from his futon, a year of pent-up energy exploding out of him. He did a series of flips across the room, danced a ridiculous jig, and even attempted a cartwheel, which ended with him in a heap on the floor. "You are my little apple. How I love you, can't be too much," he sang under his breath in a horribly off-key voice, a popular tune from his past life that felt utterly absurd in this context. He was giddy, almost delirious with the sudden, overwhelming sense of freedom. A year of playing the fool, of suppressing every intelligent thought, of acting like a helpless infant, had taken its toll. This bizarre outburst was a necessary pressure valve. All right, he finally chided himself, forcing his breathing to steady. Get a grip. This is no time to lose it, He stretched, feeling the unfamiliar softness in his limbs. I haven't trained in a year. My physique has deteriorated. I've actually gotten flabby, he poked at a soft spot on his abdomen with a grimace. Sasuke's care, while keeping him alive, had been the care one gives to a pet, ample food and no exercise. System. Total points, Host's current point total, 3,843. Would you like to open the exchange interface, The novice stipend had ended 2 weeks prior. The steady drip feed of points was over. This was his entire savings. Not yet. Don't I have one lottery draw remaining? Is it still available, he asked, a thread of anxiety in his thought. He had been too afraid to use it under Danzo's surveillance, worried the energy signature or some other effect would give him away. Host's accumulated lottery draws. 1. Initiate lottery draw, Yes, Ren's mental shout was full of relief and excitement. Start the lottery. The familiar phantom will materialized in his vision, spinning in a blur of light and potential. It slowed, ticking past tantalizing glimpses of power before landing on its prize. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have obtained the ninjutsu, Chidori, A wave of warmth flooded his system, followed by a rush of intricate knowledge, chakra control patterns, the specific nature transformation for lightning, the precise muscle memory for the thrust. It was now as innate as breathing. Chidori, Ren's excitement was palpable. I actually got it. This was a legitimate A-rank technique, the signature move of Kakashi and Sasuke. It was powerful, devastatingly so, and undeniably cool. He had been saving points for this very technique. Now, he had it for free. Ha! I was planning to save up for this. This just saved me 5,000 points, he grinned, the first genuine, unforced smile in a year. The urge to test it was immediate, almost overwhelming. But he restrained himself. The noise. Chidori is far too loud. It'd bring the whole neighborhood running. I need to get out of here. I need to find my old spot, He decided to venture out. To maintain his cover, he adopted the shuffling, hesitant gait and vacant expression of the fool people expected to see. He touched walls aimlessly, giggled at nothing, and took an agonizingly long time to meander through the streets, all under the watchful, and now, he hoped, pitying, eyes of the villagers. Finally, he reached the familiar tree line at the edge of the Uchiha district and slipped into the woods. Finally. Gods, even being an idiot is exhausting. You need serious acting chops he complained internally, dropping the act the moment he was shrouded by the trees. He moved deeper into the forest, heading for his old training clearing. But as he approached, he stopped. A shuriken, he bent down and picked a discarded throwing star from the leaf litter. Someone's been training here. His suspicion was confirmed when he reached the clearing. Several wooden posts were charred and blackened from fire jutsu. More shuriken were embedded in the trees surrounding the area. Someone's claimed my spot, annoyance flared in him. This secluded place was supposed to be his secret. Now he'd have to find another. Might as well see what's deeper in. I've never fully explored these woods, The forest grew denser, the light filtering through the canopy dimmer. He was well beyond any normal patrol routes now. Asterisk should be safe enough. I'm still within Konoha's borders. And if I run into trouble, well, I've got the moon step now, asterisk. His wandering led him to a peculiar depression in the forest floor. It was a large, sunken area, overgrown with moss and ferns, as if the ground had collapsed inward upon itself long ago. A sinkhole. Or, the entrance to a cave, asterisk curiosity sparked. Asterisk it's remote. Hidden. If this leads to a cave system, it could be the perfect secret training ground. No one would ever find me, asterisk. He started digging at the loose earth with his hands, but quickly gave up. Asterisk this is useless. It'll take me days. I need a better excavator, asterisk. A grin spread across his face. He had the perfect, if temperamental, solution. He bit his thumb, drawing blood, and swiftly performed the series of hand seals. Summoning jutsu. Bam, asterisk. A massive plume of white smoke erupted, shaking the surrounding trees. When it cleared, a colossal creature stood where Ren had been. It was over 10 meters tall, a monstrous fusion of lion and mastiff, covered in battle-worn armor. 3 curved blades were affixed to its left wrist, and it wielded a massive, cruel-looking scimitar in its right. A fearsome eye patch covered its right eye, a vertical scar running above and below it. Asterisk at last. A chance for a glorious battle, asterisk, the beast roared, its voice like grinding stones. Asterisk point me to my foe, summoner, asterisk. Ren sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Hey. Lord Fluffy. Calm down. Look around. There's no battle. The giant beast, whom Ren had nicknamed Lord Fluffy, much to its fury, lowered its head, its single good eye scanning the empty forest. It focused on Ren, a look of profound disappointment on its bestial features. Asterisk no battle. Then why have you summoned Rokudo, the king of the 6 paths? Do you seek death, little insect, asterisk? Whoa, easy there, big guy. I need a favor. A digging favor. Ren said, offering his most disarming smile. Asterisk digging, asterisk, the beast's roar was one of pure, unadulterated outrage. Asterisk you dare summon asterisk me, the slayer of 1,000 beasts, to dig, asterisk, it raised its massive scimitar menacingly. Hey! Buddies! We're buddies, right? Ren said, holding up his hands placatingly. Buddies help each other out. You help me with this, and I promise, promise asterisk, the next time I summon you, it'll be for the biggest, most epic battle you can imagine. 10 opponents. Maybe 20, Rokudo's single eye narrowed. The promise of a future massacre warred with its immense pride. The promise of violence won. Asterisk humph. Very well, summoner. But remember your vow. If you summon me again for manual labor, I will carve your bones into dice, asterisk. Deal. Ren said, pointing at the sunken ground. Right there. I think there's a cave underneath. With a sound of disgust, Rokudo reversed its grip on the giant scimitar and began using it as a massive shovel. The earth flew in great clods. In 3 mighty heaves, it had cleared the collapsed debris, revealing a dark, yawning opening into the earth. Asterisk it is done. Do not forget, asterisk, with a final, rumbling growl, the massive pugmastiff vanished in another cloud of smoke, leaving Ren alone with the newly revealed cave entrance. A cool, damp breath of air wafted from the darkness. Ren peered into the abyss, his heart beating with a mix of trepidation and excitement. All right. Let's see what's down there, asterisk. Taking a deep breath, he began to carefully climb down into the mysterious cave. Chapter 16, Serpent's Legacy. Ren peered into the abyss of the cave, the darkness seeming to swallow the feeble light from his makeshift torch. A primal wariness settled over him. The unknown was always to be respected, and in the world of shinobi, it was often lethal. He moved slowly, his senses on high alert. The tunnel was surprisingly uniform, about 3 meters high and wide enough for 3 people to walk abreast. The walls were smooth, too smooth to be natural. This was definitely man-made. But for what purpose? A Konoha fallout shelter, that didn't make sense. It was too far from the village and showed no signs of recent use. After a long, cautious walk, he reached a dead end. Just a solid wall of earth and rock. No way. This can't be it. The tunnel was too deliberately constructed to lead nowhere. There has to be a hidden mechanism. A secret door, He thought of the countless stories from his past life, the heroes who found hidden doors by tapping on walls or stepping on specific stones. Feeling slightly foolish, he began rapping his knuckles against the tunnel walls, listening for a hollow echo. He found nothing. Frustrated, he gave the solid wall in front of him a hard kick. "Open up, damn it," he muttered in exasperation. To his utter astonishment, a deep grinding sound answered him. A section of the wall, perfectly camouflaged, slid silently open to either side. Beyond it, a steep stone staircase descended into deeper darkness. "You have got to be kidding me," he thought, his jaw slack. A voice-activated secret door. That's ridiculously convenient. And totally illogical, but he wasn't about to look a gift horse in the mouth. Gripping his torch tighter, he began the descent. The stairs weren't long. They opened into a vast, black space. Ren could just make out the silhouettes of large, cylindrical objects against the walls and shelves cluttered with glassware. His hand brushed against a cool, smooth protrusion on the wall. On instinct, he pressed it. With a soft hum, panels on the ceiling flickered to life, flooding the chamber with a stark, white light. Ren blinked, his eyes adjusting to the sudden illumination. He was standing in a laboratory. It was a scene of organized chaos. 2 massive, transparent tanks, large enough to hold a person, were set against one wall. Shelves were lined with jars containing unidentifiable, pale specimens floating in yellowish preservative. A central table was littered with beakers, test tubes, and scattered papers. The air smelled faintly of chemicals and dust. "What is this place?" Ren moved to the main table, picking up a handful of loose notes. The pages were filled with complex chemical formulas, chakra flow diagrams, and anatomical sketches. The terminology was advanced, far beyond his understanding. He set them aside and picked up a thick, leather-bound journal. He flipped it open. It was a log, detailing experiments. The early entries were relatively mundane: chakra conductivity, stamina enhancement. But as he turned the pages, the subject matter grew darker. Immortality techniques. Forbidden jutsu research. His blood ran cold when he reached the later sections. Human experimentation. A name clicked into place with terrifying certainty. Orochimaru. This had to be one of the Sanin's early labs. The only one in Konoha twisted enough to conduct such research. Danzo was a possibility, but this place felt abandoned, a relic. The notes suggested a scientist just beginning his descent into madness, not the refined, monstrous research he would later become known for. This must be from before he partnered with Danzo to study Hashirama's cells. Ren reasoned, his mind racing. He must have moved his operations to a more secure, Danzo-funded location once his experiments escalated. He just left this place here. Sealed it up and forgot about it. And Danzo wouldn't care about an empty, outdated lab. A thrill of macabre excitement shot through him. Orochimaru's lab. There has to be something useful left behind. He began a frantic search, pulling open drawers and cabinets. Most contained only more useless notes, failed blueprints, and outdated data. Just as he was beginning to lose hope, his fingers brushed against a cylindrical object at the back of a drawer. He pulled it out. It was a sealed scroll, older than the others, the leather slightly cracked with age. "What's this?" He untied the cord, his curiosity piqued. Ding! Discovered recyclable skills. Initiate recycling, the system's voice intoned. Recyclable skills. A jutsu scroll, asterisk his heart leaped into his throat. He unrolled the scroll completely. His eyes widened. It wasn't just one technique. It was a collection. A log of Orochimaru's early, personal creations and some standard jutsu he had likely been studying. Hidden Shadow Snake Hand, asterisk. Hidden Shadow Many Snakes Hand. Twin Snakes Mutual Demise. Soft Physique Modification. Summoning, Rashomon. Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. Many Hidden Shadow Snake Hands. Snake Sword. To Orochimaru, these were probably insignificant, juvenile experiments, stepping stones to greater, more terrible things. But to Ren, they were a treasure trove. An absolute windfall. I'm rich. I'm rich, he yelled, his voice echoing in the empty lab. He was practically drooling, a wide, manic grin splitting his face. Reminder, skills already mastered by the host are non-recyclable. Only unknown techniques can be recycled for points, asterisk. Yeah, I figured asterisk Ren thought, still ecstatic. Asterisk no free lunch. Now, let's see, what can I actually learn, and what should I cash in, asterisk. His eyes scanned the list. Wind Style, Great Breakthrough, a powerful C-rank technique. But he didn't have a wind chakra nature. The system could grant him one, but it cost a staggering 10,000 points. It wasn't a priority. System, what's the recycle value for Wind Style, Great Breakthrough, asterisk. Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. Type, Ninjutsu. Rank, C, exchange cost, 500 points. System recycle value, 250 points, asterisk. 250. Asterisk Ren mentally groaned. Asterisk you take a 50% cut. That's highway robbery. You're a ruthless profiteer, asterisk, but 250 points were 250 points. It was better than nothing. And the other techniques, especially Orochimaru's unique snake-based jutsu and the infamous Rashomon summoning, were priceless. They offered him a versatility and power boost he desperately needed. He held the scroll tightly, a new arsenal at his fingertips. The forgotten lab of a monster had just become his greatest haven. The path to power had suddenly gotten a whole lot shorter. Chapter 17, The Art of the Yellow Flash. Ren's eyes scanned the list of techniques on the scroll, his mind racing with possibilities. Hidden Shadow Snake Hand. Definitely learning this, asterisk it was a versatile B-rank technique, perfect for mid-range combat, capture, and distraction. Its advanced version, asterisk Hidden Shadow Many Snakes Hand, was even better, summoning a veritable nest of serpents to overwhelm an opponent. Both were practical and fit his need for flexible, non-lethal options. His gaze then fell on the Earth release techniques, Earth Clone, Earth Dragon Projectile, Earth Style Wall, useful, but he didn't have an Earth Chakra nature. The cost to acquire one was prohibitive. Might as well cash them in. Then he saw it. The crown jewel of the defensive techniques on the scroll, Summoning, Rashomon, asterisk. His breath hitched. Asterisk this is it. This is the one, asterisk he remembered the colossal gates from the anime, Orochimaru summoning a triple-layered barrier to withstand a four-tails Naruto's tailed beast bomb. The first Hokage himself had summoned a 5-layered version against Madara's Kurama. To dismiss this technique as weak because it was eventually destroyed was to profoundly misunderstand the sheer, catastrophic power it was designed to block. It was an S-rank defensive barrier. Exactly what he lacked. I have offense covered for now, finger gun, fireball, chidori, and soon the snake techniques. But defense? I have nothing. Rashomon is a must-learn, asterisk. The rest of the jutsu on the scroll held little interest. They were either redundant or required chakra natures he didn't possess. They were points waiting to be claimed. He found a still functional pen in the lab and carefully transcribed the 3 techniques he wanted to keep: Hidden Shadow Snake Hand, Hidden Shadow Many Snakes Hand and Summoning, Rashomon. Then, he addressed the system. System, recycle all the ninjutsu recorded on this original scroll. Ding! Found 2 A-rank ninjutsu, 3 B-rank ninjutsu, and 2 C-rank ninjutsu. Confirm recycling, asterisk. Confirm. Ren stated firmly. Ding! Recycling successful. Host has obtained 8,500 points, asterisk. A wave of pure, unadulterated euphoria washed over him. Asterisk I'm rich. I'm rich, asterisk he did a little victory dance in the middle of the abandoned lab, whooping quietly. Asterisk this is protagonist level luck. Stumble upon a hidden lab, find a forgotten scroll, get a massive payday. I could get used to this, asterisk. System, total points, he commanded, barely containing his excitement. Host's current point total, 12,343. Open exchange interface, asterisk. Okay, let's think strategically asterisk he calmed himself, the planner in him taking over. Asterisk offense is covered. Defense will be covered once I master Rashomon. I have mobility with Moon Step. What I'm missing, is a true trump card. A life-saving skill. An oh shit button, asterisk. His first thought was the most infamous one, Kamui. Obito's intangibility. The ultimate cheat code. But he knew it was a long shot. System, exchange for Kamui. Kamui. Type, skill. Rank, S, exchange cost, 10,000 points. Note, this skill is derived from the Mangekyo Sharingan. User must possess Mangekyo Sharingan. Host conditions insufficient. Cannot exchange, asterisk. Yeah, figured as much asterisk Ren thought, not terribly disappointed. He'd expected that restriction. Life-saving skills, asterisk he racked his brain. Then, it hit him. The single most famous, most versatile, and most powerful spacetime ninjutsu in Konoha's history. The technique that defined the fourth Hokage, system. He said, his voice hushed with reverence and hope. Can I exchange for the Flying Raijin technique? Flying Raijin technique. Type, skill. Rank, S, exchange cost, 10,000 points. Exchange, asterisk. Ren's heart soared. Asterisk it worked. It actually worked, asterisk. Exchange. Confirm exchange. Do it now, he practically shouted. Ding. Exchange successful. Points deducted, 10,000. Remaining points, 2,343, asterisk. The now familiar wave of warmth flooded his system, followed by an immense, complex flood of knowledge. Formulas for spatial coordinates, chakra conversion algorithms for instant transmission, the intricate design of the Flying Raijin seal, and the muscle memory for its application, it all burned itself into his mind. Information unfolded before his inner eye. Flying Raijin technique asterisk an S-rank spacetime ninjutsu invented by the second Hokage. Allows the user to teleport to any location marked with a special seal. To mark a target is to inscribe upon them a formula for their demise. Flying Raijin / second step, asterisk in combat, throw a kunai pre-marked with the seal. Instantly teleport to the kunai while in motion, striking the enemy from an unpredictable angle before they can react. Flying Thunder God, guiding thunder, 3-step process, asterisk utilizes a combination of marked kunai and shadow clones. The user teleports at high speed between multiple kunai within a designated area, attacking the enemy from numerous directions simultaneously with high-speed taijutsu. Spacetime barrier asterisk a defensive application. Using pre-placed seals, the user can create a barrier that teleports any incoming attack to another location via the Flying Raijin matrix. A near-perfect defense. Sensory technique, Flying Raijin perception asterisk no hand seals required. By placing 2 fingers on the ground, the user can sense the number and strength of enemies within a vast radius by feeling the vibrations in spacetime around the seals. Incredible. It's even more powerful than I imagined asterisk Ren breathed, utterly awestruck. This is the technique that made Minato Namikaze a legend. Giddy with his new acquisition, he turned his attention to the techniques he'd copied. He focused on the hidden shadow snake hand. Following the chakra pathways and hand seals described, he channeled his energy. His arm shimmered, its form distorting before elongating and transforming into the shape of a large, muscular serpent. It shot across the room, its maw snapping shut on an empty specimen jar on a shelf, shattering it to pieces. It works, asterisk he retracted his arm, the serpentine form melting back into a normal limb. He tried the advanced version next. Hidden shadow many snake's hand, this time, his arms split into 5 distinct serpentine projections that lashed out independently, striking multiple jars simultaneously. Amazing! The control is tricky, but the versatility is insane, he praised internally. Now, for the main event. He took a steadying breath. This was the big one. His hands flew through the hand seals at blinding speed. He focused a massive amount of chakra into his right hand, compressing and shaping it. A cacophony of chirping, like 1,000 shrieking birds, erupted from his palm as brilliant, white-blue lightning coalesced there. The energy was so violent it made his entire arm tremble uncontrollably. He gripped his right wrist with his left hand to steady it. Lightning release, Chidori, *. With a fierce cry, he unleashed the technique, thrusting his lightning-charged hand toward the heavy central table. Boom, *. The table didn't just break, it exploded into a cloud of splinters and dust. The sound echoed deafeningly in the enclosed space. Whoa, *. Ren stared at the destruction, his ears ringing. * The raw destructive power. It's unbelievable. No wonder Sasuke was so obsessed with it, *. A confident grin spread across his face. * My power. I'd say I'm easily at Chunin level now. Maybe even higher, *. The thought was followed by a more sobering one. *. But I've been stagnant for a year. My physical conditioning has slipped. My chakra reserves might be the same, but my control and stamina have probably degraded, *. He looked around the secret lab, his new sanctuary. His grin returned, fiercer this time. No matter. Now I have the tools. I have the space. And I have the motivation, *. He clenched his fist, the chirping of birds still echoing in his memory. It's time to train. It's time to get it all back, and then some. Strength isn't everything, but without it, you're nothing, *. Chapter 18, The Mask of Weakness. By the time Ren emerged from the hidden laboratory, the sun was dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It's this late already. I lost all track of time down there, he thought, a slight pang of anxiety hitting him. Sasuke's probably already home. He might be looking for me, *. He moved quickly through the woods, heading back toward the Uchiha compound. As he neared his old training clearing, he heard sounds, the distinct thwack of a fist hitting wood and ragged, exhausted breaths. Someone's there, *. Instinctively, he melted into the shadows, leaping silently into the branches of a large tree overlooking the clearing. He peered down. It was Sasuke. His twin brother was a portrait of sheer, dogged determination. He was drenched in sweat, his body trembling with fatigue, yet he continued to hammer his fists and feet against a fresh set of wooden posts, replacing the ones Ren had seen charred earlier. Finally, his body gave out, and he collapsed onto the damp earth, his chest heaving. He's pushing himself this hard, *. Ren watched, a complex mix of emotions swirling within him, pity, respect, and a strange sense of guilt. All for revenge. All to kill Itachi, *. After a few minutes, Sasuke forced himself to his feet, his movements unsteady. He staggered out of the clearing, disappearing into the twilight. Ren dropped down from his perch, landing softly in the clearing. He walked over to one of the posts, pulling a shuriken from its deeply embedded position. He turned it over in his hand, thinking, should I help him? The question lingered. Despite their cold relationship, Sasuke was his brother. He was the one who had taken care of him for the past year when it would have been easier to send him away. The current Sasuke wasn't the cold-blooded villain he would become, he was just a hurt, desperate boy. Maybe, he thought, making a decision. Maybe I can. The sky was now fully dark. Ren hurried his pace, reaching the outskirts of Konoha proper. He slipped back into his carefully constructed persona, the vacant eyes, the shuffling gait, the slight, mindless drool at the corner of his mouth. He was Uchiha Ren, the idiot. He was almost home when a group of figures rounded a corner. Ren's internal alarm bells rang softly. It was a cluster of academy students, and among them was the bully, Kenji, with his ridiculous bowl-cut hair. They spotted him at the same time. They froze, staring. Uchiha Sasuke, one of them muttered, confused. Didn't we just see him heading the other way? Kenji's eyes narrowed, then widened in recognition. A nasty, triumphant grin spread across his face. No, you idiot. That's not Sasuke. That's the other one. Uchiha Ren. Hearing his name, Ren stopped, turning to look at them with a feigned, blank expression. What do you want? He stammered, making his voice weak and fearful. It is Uchiha Ren. Kenji crowed, turning to his lackeys. Come on, let's go say hello. Kenji, I don't know. One of the boys said nervously. He's Sasuke's brother. And he was really strong a year ago. Are you stupid? Kenji snapped. Haven't you heard? He lost his mind after his family died. He's a drooling moron now. He dropped out of the academy. He's a worthless waste. And there are 4 of us. You're scared of an idiot, but... Sasuke. Another boy whispered, his fear of the academy's top student outweighing any urge to bully. If we mess with his brother, and he finds out, the mention of Sasuke only seemed to enrage Kenji further. Before the Uchiha massacre, Kenji had been a local bully, preying on weaker kids with his slightly larger size. But at the academy, he had been humiliated. First by Ren on the very first day, and then consistently outclassed by everyone, including the kids he used to pick on. He was now firmly at the bottom of the class, a laughingstock. His hatred for the Uchiha name, the source of his greatest humiliations, was a burning coal in his gut. Revenge on Sasuke was impossible. But this broken version of his brother? This was a gift. Who's gonna believe an idiot? Kenji sneered. He can't even form a proper sentence. Now shut up and watch. He swaggered up to Ren, who was doing his best to look small and terrified. Well, Kenji taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. If it isn't the great genius from last year. I heard you went soft in the head. Lost your marbles. Ha ha ha, please. Ren whimpered, backing away. This little punk actually wants to start something, he thought, a cold anger beginning to simmer beneath his mask of fear. Kenji. I'll remember this, please. Please what? Kenji laughed and lashed out with a foot, catching Ren in the stomach and sending him sprawling into the dirt. This is what I want to do. I want to kick you, you idiot. The blow wasn't powerful, Kenji was a weakling, but the humiliation was a white-hot brand. Ren curled up on the ground, playing his part, but inside, his rage was a silent inferno. You will pay for this. 10 times over, Aren't you an Uchiha? Kenji yelled, kicking him again. Aren't you from the mighty clan? Weren't you a genius? Huh? Answer me. Each question was punctuated by another kick. Hey, come on, you guys get a shot too. Kenji called over his shoulder to his friends, who were watching with uneasy expressions. He's just an idiot. The other boys shook their heads vigorously, staying well back. They wanted no part of this. Ren endured it, each kick fueling the cold, calculating fury in his heart. He would bide his time. The reckoning would come. What are you doing? Stop that at once. A sharp, authoritative voice cut through the evening air. It was a woman's voice, filled with anger and command. Everyone froze. Kenji's foot halted in midair. They all turned to look. Walking toward them was a young, strikingly beautiful woman with vibrant red hair tied in a bun. Her green eyes were narrowed in fury, fixed directly on Kenji. She carried herself with an air of confidence that immediately cowed the group of boys. Ren, lying in the dirt, peeked through his arms. Well, this is an unexpected development. Chapter 19, Unspoken Feelings. Yuhi Kurenai was in a good mood. She had just completed a successful B-rank mission and was on her way to her favorite izakaya to celebrate with a few cups of sake. The evening was pleasant, and the weight of the mission was off her shoulders. That good mood evaporated the moment she turned a corner and saw the scene unfolding down the street. A group of older boys were circling a smaller one, who was curled up on the ground. One of them was kicking him, his voice loud and cruel. "Aren't you an Uchiha? Aren't you from the mighty clan? Weren't you a genius? Ha ha ha. Say something. Why aren't you saying anything now?" Asterisk. Kurenai's blood ran cold, then hot with anger. She quickened her pace. "What are you doing? Stop that at once." Her voice, sharp and authoritative, cut through the evening air like a knife. The boys flinched, turning to see a fully grown kunoichi in a jonin vest, her expression dark with fury. Panic flashed across their faces. "Ah! It's an adult. Run," one of them yelped. They didn't need telling twice, scattering like cockroaches and disappearing down adjacent alleyways. Kurenai didn't bother giving chase. Her concern was for the boy on the ground. She knelt beside him, her voice softening considerably. "Hey, little guy. Are you alright?" She helped him sit up, gently brushing the dirt from his clothes. "Thank goodness I showed up," Ren thought, keeping his expression dazed and fearful. He looked up at his rescuer. Shoulder-length black hair, striking red eyes, this was definitely Yuhi Kurenai. An unexpected encounter. I am okay, miss," he mumbled, shaking his head. "Can you get home by yourself?" she asked, her eyes full of concern. "You know what? I'll take you. Just in case those brats decide to come back." "Which way is your house?" She helped him to his feet and let him lead the way. They hadn't gone far when a figure came sprinting out of the Uchiha compound's main gate. It was Sasuke, his face a mask of frantic worry. He skidded to a halt when he saw them, his eyes wide. The worry on his face instantly twisted into anger. "You idiot," he roared, storming up to Ren and completely ignoring Kurenai. "Where have you been?" The anger was raw, but beneath it was a thread of pure, undiluted fear. I was waiting, and you didn't come back." Ren stammered, putting on his best scared little brother act. "I wanted to find you." Sasuke's shoulders slumped slightly in relief, but the anger remained. "You moron. No one told you to come looking for me. You just get lost or cause trouble for someone. You're nothing but a burden." "Hey," Kurenai interjected gently, placing a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. "Your name is Sasuke, right? Don't be too hard on him. He was just worried about you. Everything's fine now." "Who's worried about him?" Sasuke snapped, though the protest was weak. "I just don't want him wandering around making the Uchiha name look worse than it already does." "Well, since he's home safe, I'll be on my way," Kurenai said with a small smile. "Thank you for bringing him back." "Sorry for the trouble," Sasuke muttered, offering a stiff, formal bow. "Don't mention it." With a final nod, Kurenai turned and walked away, her red eyes thoughtful. Sasuke watched her go before rounding on Ren again. "Get inside. Now." His tone was gruff, but he carefully herded Ren through the gate rather than dragging him. Once inside, under the brighter light, Sasuke finally got a proper look at his brother. His clothes were disheveled and slightly torn from Ren's earlier torch-making. "What happened to you?" he asked, his voice losing some of its edge. It was Kenji," Ren said, looking down at his feet. He hit me." "Kenji?" Sasuke's eyes narrowed, the name sparking instant recognition and fury. "That piece of trash dared to lay a hand on an Uchiha?" The cold anger in his voice was palpable. "He's going to get what's coming to him tomorrow." They ate a tense, silent dinner, a rare occurrence for the two of them, before retiring to their respective rooms. The next morning, Sasuke marched to the academy with a storm cloud hanging over his head. He was a boy on a mission. "Sasuke-kun. Good morning." Sakura chirped the moment he entered the classroom, bouncing over to his desk. Sasuke brushed past her without a word or a glance, slumping into his seat and staring daggers at the empty space where Kenji usually sat. Sakura's smile wilted. "He ignored me again," she whispered, her shoulders slumping. Shot down again, huh?" Ino said, sliding up beside her friend and slinging an arm around her. "Don't worry about it, forehead girl. You'll get him one day." "Yeah. I'm used to it," Sakura said, forcing a smile. And I'll keep trying. I will make Sasuke-kun notice me, that's the spirit. Ino cheered. You can do it, you too, Ino pig. Sakura said, nudging her friend playfully, me? What about me? Ino asked, tilting her head. You have to work hard too. Sakura whispered, leaning closer. Go find someone you like. Ino blinked, taken aback. But then an image flashed in her mind, a boy with calm, dark eyes and a quiet demeanor. A small, private smile touched her lips. Well. I already have someone I like. Really? Who? Who is it? Someone in our class. Sakura's eyes widened with gossipy excitement. Hee, not in our class anymore, Ino said, her smile turning a little sad. Not in class. Sakura's face fell as she realized the implication. Ino, don't tell me you're still hung up on Ren. She knew about Ino's crush. They'd even made a silly childhood pact, Sakura would marry Sasuke, and Ino would marry Ren. But that was before everything. Ino didn't deny it. She met Sakura's concerned gaze squarely. Yes. That's right. I liked Ren-kun from the first day he came to school. And I still do. But Ren-kun, he's. Sakura struggled to find a tactful word. Different now. How can you still like him? I know he's different, Ino said, her voice firm with a conviction that surprised even herself. But I believe he'll get better. I have to believe that, and what if he doesn't? Sakura pressed, her voice gentle but worried. Wouldn't you just be wasting your time? That's so sad. No, he will get better. I believe in Ren-kun. Ino's gaze drifted past Sakura, toward the back of the room where a girl with long, chestnut brown hair sat quietly by herself. Besides, I'm not the only one waiting for him. Sakura followed her gaze. Akane, if I give up now, Ino said, her voice dropping to a determined whisper, then I lose to her. Akane seemed to sense their attention. She looked up, and her eyes met Ino's. There was no hostility in the glance, just a quiet, shared understanding. A silent acknowledgement of a rival. Akane had liked Ren, too. Quiet, introverted Akane, who had been isolated for years by Kenji's bullying. Ren had been the first person to treat her normally, to talk to her without fear or pity. She had watched him, silently adoring him from afar, too shy to ever approach him the way the bold and confident Ino did. Ino had sensed Akane's feelings almost immediately and had treated her as a rival ever since, picking petty fights and throwing scornful looks her way. She would never willingly cede ground when it came to Ren. Akane, for her part, understood the reason for Ino's hostility. And rather than backing down, it had only solidified her own quiet resolve. She would wait, too. She would believe, too. The two girls held each other's gaze for a moment longer before each looked away, a silent battle of wills and hope declared over the fate of a boy they believed was lost, but whom they refused to let go. Chapter 20, The Foundation of Control. Though Akane had never openly declared her feelings for Ren, Ino, with her keen intuition and shared affection, had sensed them from the start. This had sparked a silent, one-sided rivalry. Ino would find small faults, throw pointed barbs, and generally make her presence a subtle opposition to Akane's quiet admiration. In her mind, Ren was hers, and anyone who dared to look his way was a threat. Eventually, Akane understood the reason behind Ino's hostility. Rather than cowering, a spark of defiance ignited within the shy girl. Ren-kun doesn't belong to you, she thought. I like him too. If you want to pick a fight, then I'll fight. Let's see who backs down first, *. What began as a quiet, internal competition slowly evolved. Their daily verbal sparring and subtle jabs gradually drew them out of their shells. Akane, once painfully introverted, found a new boldness. She began to express her feelings for Ren more openly, no longer content to admire from the shadows. This, in turn, intensified Ino's efforts. Their rivalry became a classroom spectacle, reminiscent of Sakura and Ino's own dynamic in the early days. It was common to see the two girls each holding one of Ren's arms in a playful, yet determined, tug-of-war, much to Ren's feigned exasperation and secret delight. But that was over a year ago. After the Uchiha massacre and Ren's subsequent mental breakdown, he had withdrawn from the world, becoming a shell of his former self. He dropped out of the academy. At first, many classmates visited, but as time passed and he showed no improvement, most forgot about him. Ino and Akane did not. They held on to their belief that the real Ren was still in there, that he would recover. They visited him regularly, though their hearts broke a little each time he stared through them with vacant, unrecognizing eyes. Their shared worry and unwavering hope became a strange bridge between them. The rivalry slowly melted away, replaced by a bond of mutual understanding and comfort. They bolstered each other's spirits, becoming close friends united in their silent vigil. They both prayed for the same thing, for Ren to return to them. "Akane and I will wait for Ren-kun to get better," Ino said to Sakura, her smile soft but her eyes blazing with conviction. "You-n. Akane? That's difficult. You mean you both?" Sakura's eyes widened in disbelief, looking from Ino to the quietly resolute Akane across the room. "Yes," Ino confirmed. "Akane and I, we understand each other now. We won't fight over him anymore. But neither of us will give up. The most important thing right now is for Ren-kun to get better." "Are you insane?" Sakura hissed, her voice a mixture of concern and shock. "How could that possibly work? No one would ever agree to that." "Ino, snap out of it. You need to forget about him." "I'm not insane. I know exactly what I'm feeling. So, forehead girl, you don't need to say anything else." Ino's tone was final. You. Sakura was left speechless, utterly baffled by her friend's declaration. "Class is about to start. Irika-sensei is coming." Ino turned and walked calmly to her seat, leaving a stunned Sakura behind. "She's lost her mind." Completely, Sakura thought, sinking into her own chair. I have to talk some sense into her. This is ridiculous. She was so preoccupied she didn't hear a word of Irika's lesson, her mind wholly consumed by how to save her friend from this delusion. Meanwhile, back at the Uchiha compound, Ren waited until Sasuke had left for the academy before getting up. He ate the breakfast Sasuke had left for him and prepared to return to his secret laboratory to train. It was far easier today. After acquiring the flying Raijin technique, he had taken the precaution of placing one of the technique's special coordinate seals in the lab and another in his bedroom. Now, travel between the two was instantaneous. "I should leave a clone here, just in case Sasuke comes back early and panics again," he reasoned. A shadow clone would be ideal. Much better than a basic illusion. The shadow clone can train for you, and even fight. It's incredibly practical. I need to get it. The standard clone technique created an illusion, a phantom that could fool the eye but had no substance. A shadow clone, however, divided the user's chakra to create a physical, functional copy. The experience and knowledge the clone gained would return to the user once it dispersed. The multi-shadow clone technique, which created a small army, was a forbidden technique due to the immense chakra drain, often lethal to anyone without a Jinchuriki's reserves. System, exchange for shadow clone technique, Ren commanded. Shadow clone technique. Type, skill. Rank, B, exchange cost, 2,000 points. Host's points are insufficient. Cannot exchange, not enough points. TCH, he was still 1,657 points short. Fine. The basic clone technique will have to do for now. Sasuke's just a genin, he shouldn't be able to see through it. Especially since Danzo's surveillance is gone, He performed the hand seals for the basic clone technique. A puff of smoke, and an identical copy of himself appeared, looking as vacant and listless as he was supposed to. Stay here. Lie down and sleep, Ren instructed the illusionary clone. It nodded dumbly and lay on the futon. Good. This should keep Sasuke from worrying if he checks on me, asterisk. With a thought, Ren activated the flying Raijin. The world seemed to warp around him for a split second, and he vanished from his room, reappearing instantly in the cool, silent air of the underground laboratory. Time to work on the fundamentals asterisk, he decided. Asterisk chakra control. The most important, and most often overlooked, skill, asterisk he planned to start with the foundational exercises Kakashi had taught Team 7, water walking and tree climbing. Ding! The system has issued a mission, master the tree climbing exercise within 2 days, asterisk. Mission reward, 300 points. Failure penalty, none. Accept, a mission. Finally, asterisk Ren's spirits lifted. It had been so long he'd almost forgotten the system could assign tasks. Accept. Of course, I accept. He knew this wouldn't be easy. Chakra was the energy blend of physical stamina and spiritual energy that every ninja used. Extracting it was one thing, controlling it with precision was another. Most ninjas refine chakra on the fly during battle, making fine control incredibly difficult. The tree climbing exercise was designed to teach exactly that. The goal wasn't to climb with hands and feet, but to focus a precise amount of chakra into the soles of the feet, allowing them to adhere to vertical surfaces. The soles were one of the hardest places to channel chakra effectively. Mastering this meant a ninja could, in theory, learn to control chakra for any jutsu with extreme efficiency. It was also crucial for maintaining chakra over extended periods, preventing waste and fatigue. Since he couldn't practice this indoors, Ren exited the cave and found a tall, sturdy tree with a straight trunk in the surrounding forest. Tree climbing, how did Kakashi explain it? Asterisk he mused, trying to recall the anime. Asterisk the key is to focus just the right amount of chakra to your feet. Not too little, not too much. Let's try, asterisk. He performed a quick hand seal to help his focus, channeled chakra to his feet, took a running start, and dashed up the tree trunk. He managed 5 steps. On the 6th, his foot sank too deeply into the bark, tearing a chunk out of the tree, and he tumbled unceremoniously to the ground. Oof, asterisk he lay there for a second, looking up at the scar he'd left on the tree. Asterisk too much chakra. Way too much. This is going to take a while, asterisk. He got to his feet, brushed himself off, and looked at the tree with renewed determination. The path to power wasn't just about flashy jutsu, it was built on boring, meticulous control. And he was going to master it.